You're watching Fox Sports, home to the UEFA Champions League final, the World Series, Super Bowl 45, the Daytona 500, and FoxSports.com. We are Fox Sports!
Jeff, hey, don't you have a show to do, man?
What time is it?
It's time to go.
Here, hold this. Hey, I'm running late. I don't know how am I going to get to the racetrack?
Here, my car's valeted downstairs.
Man, I owe you one. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks.
Get out of here.
All right.
You ain't Jeff Gordon.
But I am Jeff. Whoa.
Let's go racing, boys.
Vegas, baby. Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas, boys. Let's go racing. Let's go racing, boys. In Las Vegas, when you're hot, you're hot. Show me what you got. It's showtime. Guess where we are? Yes, from a town that loves a full house, bright and sunny. Fox Sports welcomes you to NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing from Las Vegas, presented by Pennzoil. And if you want to get in on the action, this is the place to be. And it starts with a all-champion front row. Kurt Busch from Las Vegas. Jeff Gordon, who's won here once before. Jimmy Johnson coming off a big win. He's won here 3 times. Tony Stewart, one of 3 tracks he hasn't won on yet, but we'll be watching him today. What starts in Vegas ends in Vegas with a checkered flag. And what happens in between, well, that might be up to all of you. Welcome inside the Hollywood Hotel and Casino. Along with Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Hammond, I'm Chris Myers. Glad you're with us. Hope you're doing okay, and we're all in.
Whew. So am I. I'm glad to get here.
How was that ride in Jeff Gordon's car?
I didn't know you could drive a straight drive.
I can do a lot of things, but I wonder what happened to that $100 bill.
Yeah, we want to know. Hey, is this the place where most drivers would be distracted?
Well, I think that's right. You know, you think about all the shows, the nightlife here, the lights, and everything else. Normally, when we go to town, we are the show. But when you come to Vegas, you're just a part of the show.
Yeah, we've already seen it practice. Dale Jr. had a spin, a smack of the wall for Kevin Harvick. But last week, 6 blown engines. You like to say engine failure. You say blown up.
It blew up.
All right, but that was 500 miles. This is a 400-mile race today.
I don't think we're going to see the engine problems that we've been seeing. I think even though we're going to see 9,700 early in the start of the race, the weather, slick racetrack, my friend, don't you give me no hard time here, will make it easier for these engines.
Easy, Sunoco breath. Easy.
You disagree? We'll talk about it between long shots
like always
and favorites. And if you're looking for a lucky number, how about 18? That's a good choice. Kyle Busch driving the 18 car, grew up right here in Las Vegas with brother Kurt. Kyle knows all the streets, the back roads, how to get around town, including how to start from the pole and win, just like he did last year.
Kyle Busch is the future of our sport.
Wow,
We started calling him Wild Thing. Wild Thing is going to win again. Kyle Busch burning down the house.
And
And we thank Kyle for joining us from down on the track, that M&M's 18 car ready to roll. And Kyle, you finished 14th in the first 2 races of this year. Of course, your hometown of Vegas. Does it put more pressure on you to do well here?
Well, we've been consistent. That's all that matters so far. So far, so good. So we've got our work cut out for us. You know, we're trying to get up there, of course, and be in the top 12 in points. But it's early in the year yet, so our M&M's Camry's pretty decent this weekend. We felt like it was really fast yesterday, but in the first practice especially. We've got some changes happening today. Of course, the track is way different. It's hot, it's sunny, it's going to be slick out. So we'll see what's in store for us, but hopefully, again, we can have a fast Camry and get after it.
Hey, Kyle, it's the DW, and you talked about changes. How does changing crew chiefs, how does that affect the team, the attitude of the team, even your attitude? How does that affect everything?
Well, everything's been good. You know, I loved working with Steve, but Dave's been great. We've been really able to work well together. Our first race, we almost won in Texas there last year, so we were really pleased with the results we had last year. We almost won Texas. We ran 12th, I think, at Phoenix. We could have won Homestead. We finished 7th or 8th there. So we've been doing all right. We've had some good cars this year. Last week we led a few laps. Daytona we led a few laps. But, you know, we've had top 8 cars so far this year. You know, we haven't quite been in the top 5, and we not quite had the runs we wanted late in the races, but we're getting there. So, you know, time will tell what'll happen, but hopefully here today we can have a solid effort running in the top 5 and keep our chassis, you know, up to what the racetrack conditions are giving us and be there at the end.
Hey, Kyle, right quick, Jeff Hammond here. Your teammate, Joey Logano, a year ago, he really wasn't an asset maybe to the team, but it looks like all of a sudden he's starting to figure this thing out. You guys are running a lot closer. Is he helping now to contribute?
He is, and he was last year too. You know, there was some races where he ran really well. He was strong, and we definitely went to Joey and used him for a lot of help. But this year he's been running a lot better, a lot smoother. Of course, he's in front of the rest of us in points, so we've got to chase him back down now. But, you know, he's been running really good. We've been proud of Joey, and he's been being a real help to the team and to the whole organization and all the information he's been able to give us. Of course, he's always fast on the nationwide side. We see that week in and week out with that 20 team. But as far as what we've got going on, you know, we're looking forward to trying to be the best Joe Gibbs Racing team car here this weekend and keep that M&M's Camry and get it back to victory lane.
All right, and Kyle, congrats on the engagement. Good luck today. All right, we'll talk to you later on.
All right, appreciate it. Hey, Daryl, follow me on Twitter, will you?
I will, buddy. And, hey, I like your glasses, but I think I may have one-upped you, dude.
No, you got those.
Sure. You got some better ones on? I can't see it, but I'll find out. I'll make sure I send you a pair of these. The KB1s, man, they're getting up.
These are JPMs here. They're pretty cool.
That's the Juan Pablo Montoya wear. All right, as part of our NASCAR on Fox crew, our pit reporters have everything covered for you. Steve Burns, Chris Devoto, Matt Yoka. We start with our senior member, Dr. Dirt, Dick Berggren. Dick, what do you have?
NASCAR senior statesman's car has been very fast in practice. I'll ask Mark Martin if it's fast enough to win today.
Kurt Busch starts from the pole position. Now, all these races are the same in points, right? Well, don't tell that to Kurt Busch. This is his Daytona. We'll ask him why.
What's more difficult, going over a year without a win or changing a dirty diaper? I'll talk to NASCAR's newest dad, Carl Edwards.
Some call it a golden horseshoe. Others say luck is when preparation meets opportunity. I'll talk to the 4-time champ, Jimmy Johnson, who's definitely on a roll.
All right, thanks, crew. Coming up, here's what's around the turn. We're glad you're with us for NASCAR on Fox. The RCR drivers are in the top 5 in points. The men behind the hottest wheels. Talk to former Childress crew chief Larry McReynolds and Jeff Gord. He's had some bad days in Vegas. We caught up with him after a heck of a hangover. Don't worry, he's all right. He'll explain. A couple of NASCAR legends, Junior Johnson and our own DW, chat about an unusual part of NASCAR history. Michael Waltrip stops by to tell us about his new show, and it's on the fast track. Funny man Frank Caliendo exposes to all of us his multiple personalities. And speaking of Frank, the guy who used to back him up has his own slice of the action. Jimmy Johnson is the next victim on a slice of peasy. If you haven't seen it, you'll laugh, you'll cry. You might cry more than you laugh. All that, plus gas and go. You always win big with NASCAR on Fox. NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is presented by new Pennzoil Ultra with hyper cleansing technology. Glad you're with us. NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing from Las Vegas, presented by Pennzoil, and the Las Vegas Park Speedway hosted a Sprint Cup race on what is now the site of the Las Vegas Hilton. That was run in 1955. That track originally a 1-mile Las Vegas Jockey Club horse track, but it's all about horsepower today. And joining us here in the Hollywood Hotel and Casino,
speaking of horsepower,
Daryl's brother Michael Waltrip, who of course has as a car owner, but you finished third here. You were leading the points in 2003 when you ran in Vegas.
Yeah, we won the 500 and then came out to Vegas and finished third. Left here with the points lead. Life was good.
Nice to see you, and your brother wants you to talk about your new show coming up on Speed.
Tell us about the show, man.
I talked to David Hill and I said, we need a talent show around the NASCAR
we
nation.
need talent here is what he was saying, right?
Yeah. This isn't it, by the way.
And so he agreed, and we put it together. And last night we taped our first show. It's going to be on Monday night at 8 o'clock, and it is so fun. NASCAR Nation we're just different, you know, us racing people. And we collected a bunch of different people, put their talents on display last night here in Vegas, and it's going to be awesome on TV Monday night.
And what do you do?
Well, here,
I'm the host. Okay, so
yeah,
I'm Michael Waltrip.
You want to hear how I do?
Let me see your act.
Well, and there are some judges here. This show actually, it's available to real people like you and me who have a talent for singing and dancing or comedy. And we ask you, the NASCAR fan, to get involved. As Michael said, if you're selected, 8 to 10 people square off against each other on the speed stage Friday or Saturday night with a live audience. There's weekly winners. You can win up to $5,000 in prizes. NASCAR Nation has a chance to vote on the ultimate winner, and speed viewers will have a chance to vote online for a fan favorite. The show is Vegas Fast Track to Fame.
Where'd these people come from, bud?
We got more show. We got more excitement. We got more Lottie. I got to kiss sexy.
So were these people just out in the crowd and you said, come on up and try it out?
Is that great or what? I mean, it was so fun, and what talent we had. They came from all across our great country, and when we come to a town, those folks are going to audition and be a part of our show.
Daryl Keck could be on the show.
I just was kind of hoping maybe that guy would, come in and teach Chris Myers how to juggle those chainsaws.
They asked that guy, how do we know you're good at that? I said, well, he's got both his arms, doesn't he? Juggling.
It's Fast Track to Fame with your host. Just stick around for a moment, Michael, and it's on speed because we want you to take a look at this. The winner of the last 4 Cup titles, Jimmy Johnson, received so many different honors, and then he got stuck with having to be a guest on A Slice of Peasy. Chris Peasy, part of Cubed. It's an internet show at foxsports.com, and Chris is also the host of A Slice of Peasy.
Welcome to another edition of A Slice of Peasy. I am very happy to have my guest, Jimmy Johnson. He's also my pick to win yet another NASCAR Sprint Cup. Come on, Jimmy. Everybody wants to hear it. Come on, say it. How about them Cowboys? Come on.
Yeah, football. Good. Yeah, this is football attire.
So, can you tell our audience how easy it was to win 4 championships?
Yeah, it was so easy. I don't even know how to take you seriously.
I don't know why you would. Moving on. I heard you're becoming a first-time father, right?
Yes.
That's a tough job, but congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm thinking maybe we can do, we can help a little bit. I got a little bit of this stuff coming on. Oh, there's my bib.
That bib came from a place that I'm not sure I want to mention.
I'm just going to wear it, and I'm going to play the baby, and you're my dad, okay? Daddy!
Shut up.
I'm up. That's what you're going to say to your son? Yeah. Or daughter, whatever it is? Okay.
Especially if it looks like you.
Oh, come on, Daddy, I love you. Can we be friends, Daddy?
Eat some pizza.
No, babies aren't supposed to eat pizza, Jimmy.
But you have the bib on. Eat some pizza.
This looks accurate. This is good. Jimmy Johnson, great race car driver, horrible father. Let's thank him.
So Fast Track to Fame, well, you might put him. By the way, thanks for dressing up for the show. I mean, even the chunky guy put a coat on.
Look at us.
I got my logo on.
Oh, that's all. You are all about. We should thank
Did you not
Napa
tell him about
too.
the dress
Yeah,
attire?
I love Napa. And you can follow me along on Twitter, too. You don't just have to follow Kyle Busch. I'm MW55 on Twitter, and I keep my fans totally in tune with what's going on at the racetrack.
I think you should do the Peasy thing, except you should interview Peasy.
No, you're going to be on to Slice of Peasy later in the year.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I tried to straighten him out. He's a mess.
Good luck for on Speed with Fast Track to Fame, all right?
Thank you. Looking forward to it, and looking forward to watching Ruderman and the Tums car and Martin Truex Jr. in the Napa car today.
All right, Michael, thanks. We'll see you. Coming up on the program here, all eyes have been on Danica. How'd she do in Vegas? What do our guys think after she's going to take a break? When will she run next? It's all ahead if you stay with us, and I hope you do. Welcome back here to NASCAR on Fox, and right across from the track is Nellis Air Force Base. And this past week, that's David Reagan out of the car, took a trip over there and up in the air with the Air Force's own Thunderbirds, and went on a wild ride with Major Tony Mulhare. Now, he'll start from row 9 today. The Thunderbirds, known for their acrobatic flying style, and David has a new appreciation for flying.
It was awesome. So, we're here, we made it happen, and it was a good experience. All right, guys. Congratulations, guys.
The base ready for action. Some live pictures as we get ready to take you live to the start of the race. Counting you down to NASCAR on Fox from Las Vegas. And when you mention stormy and sunny and misty of this town, instead of the weather, some people think of showgirls. Las Vegas considers the outdoors as the space between hotels. Out here, the weather can change in the blink of an eye. But we have our own Rick Dickert. He is our meteorologist, and Rick is standing by in our Fox Storm Scout Weather Center. Now, we had rain here yesterday.
Storm Scout.
Yeah, Storm Scout.
That's
but
right.
Are we okay for today?
No storms to scout today like Fontana last week, Chris. Thankfully, check it out, the radar. We did have that weather system. You mentioned, Chris, it pushed through the area yesterday and overnight. The last raindrops that fell around the track around 11 o'clock. But you can see by the radar, all that action has pushed off to the south and east. No threat of rain at all today. No rain delays. The sun is out. Just a few clouds. Temperatures rather pleasant. Low to mid 60s, I think, during the race. Average for this time of year is about 66 degrees. The only real issue will be the wind as we check out our weather track. Mostly sunny skies. The last rain, again, about 11 o'clock. Humidity values are starting to drop down to 35%, helping to dry out any residual moisture. North to northwest winds, meaning the winds are coming out of the north to northwest, 10 to 15. Gusts as high as 20 miles an hour. Chris, you guys got the Hollywood Hotel. You're in Vegas, baby. Venetian, Palazzo. You guys should set up shop there in the lobby. Come on.
There's a lot to do at the Hollywood Hotel and Casino. And thanks for the positive weather. We'll check in next week, the race in Atlanta, where that could be an adventure. Las Vegas, a place where you see one name on the marquee. And in the Nationwide Series, Danica has had that effect. Yesterday, Danica Patrick started her third nationwide race before she takes a break for about a 4-month stopover before she goes back to IndyCar racing. In the nationwide race, it was won by Kevin Harvick, his 35th career in this series. As for Danica, she wrecked halfway through, wound up 36th, and then talked with our own Steve Burns.
Danica, obviously frustrating not to be able to finish the race. We won't see you again to the end of June. What is the biggest overwhelming thing that you've taken away from this early experience?
It's so many things. I mean, starts and restarts and, you know, high line, low line. Kevin Harvick was leading the race and pointing me up high to go with him. So I learned the outside line there, and we'll go race IndyCar and come back in June.
Well, she initially said her goal was to finish races, and she didn't in 2 of the 3 wreckings. So is she learning on the job? Some other drivers are a little bit put off by that.
I thought she was learning how drivers communicated when Harvick had his hand out the window, but actually he was telling her to come to the high side. It would be much faster. What she learned there was when you got 4 new tires and you're coming up on the back of a guy that's been in a wreck, you're coming up pretty fast. She got down in there, McDowell closed the door, and she wrecked. She learned a lot in a very short period of time. She'll be better when she comes back.
Yeah, and difficult to take such a break, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you got to be committed.
That's the big thing. You talk about you learn a lot in a short period of time, but the key thing is, folks, is 3 months, maybe 4 months layoff before she goes back to driving stock cars. And during this period of time, she's going to be running the Indy 500, all those open wheel testing they got going on. Chris, this is not going to help her in DW. You know going well. Sometimes what you think you learn, you don't learn.
Let me ask you about a grade here, because she was 35th and then 31st and 36th. Well, no, we have 3 races. Give me an A, B, or C here. We'll do it that way.
I'll give her a C. I'll give her a C because she learned. She learned a lot, as I said, in a short period of time. And you always told me a little time off didn't hurt anything.
That's because he was working with you too much.
I looked at how we did, and I thought, well, maybe
he didn't want to do the grade because after A, B, and C, he gets lost.
Yeah, that's true. That's exactly right.
I kid because I care. You know that.
But I like the fact of what she was able to accomplish the short period of time here, communicating with her team.
Well, terrific interview.
She's a smart young lady, I tell you. She really
If she wants to do it, you get the impression she will do it. The history of Vegas, full of characters, sometimes bigger than life, like Bugsy Siegel, Liberace, Wayne Newton. The history of NASCAR in Las Vegas doesn't star Frank Sinatra or the Rat Pack, but as Mike Joy explains, the growth of racing has been like everything else in the Desert Oasis, full speed ahead.
Vegas, baby, Vegas.
Oh, yes, Las Vegas. There's no place in the world like it.
You can't have a good time in Vegas, you're pretty much in trouble.
The Sprint Cup Series came here in 1998, and oh, yes, the drivers are happy about it.
Vegas is a great venue.
I'm glad we only go there once a year because I like to gamble, so I just keep that to once a year.
You know, being able to go out there and have a great racetrack to run on and being able to have a good time in the evening, it makes it a pretty good race to run.
Other sports have stayed away from Vegas. Not NASCAR. It even holds its awards banquet here and has added to the desert's racing legacy. One Grand National race was run here in 1955. The Mint 400 off-road race has been run over 20 times. But the past decade brought Vegas its NASCAR winning hand. The Busch brothers grew up in Vegas before ascending to NASCAR.
Well, when I was growing up in Vegas, we were always racing at the short track.
Where we grew up was right there at Las Vegas Motor Speedway at the bull ring, and did races on Saturday nights, some on Friday, but that's where we were every weekend. It felt like a way of life.
Construction on Las Vegas Motor Speedway began in the 1990s and the Bush brothers immediately saw the local impact.
They started building the new track, the big track, and racing changed a little bit in Vegas. It kind of got a little bit heavier. You know, a lot of people understood it a little bit more.
It was huge, and when that started to get built, the excitement around the area started getting bigger and bigger, all about NASCAR.
Kurt won the 2004 championship. Kyle did something even bigger for the local fans.
Good job, buddy. Hometown win.
I'd say this will be quite a celebration in Sin City tonight.
And winning in Vegas is just a special feeling and been one of the best feelings that I've had.
NASCAR has only added to the Vegas action.
It's still a travel destination. That's what Vegas is known for. So everybody loves to come in for the parties and see the big NASCAR race weekend.
Las Vegas has come a long way from its humble beginnings. You know, Junior Johnson, the last American hero, did the same. An old buddy of yours. You got to spend some time together.
Yeah, a quick little history lesson. You know, legend has it that this sport was built on the back of moonshiners. Well, I know one moonshiner that is a pretty smart fella.
You know, Junior, ever since I've followed racing, you've been a hero of mine, and mainly because you always were an innovator. Do you think you were a better driver or a better car owner?
I was both.
The best of both.
I was both. I think I was a better car owner. I think I was a better mechanic than most people.
You always had a sixth sense about looking at something and figuring out what it needed or what to make, how to make it better. Where did that come from?
Well, in my bootlegging days, you know, I was in the moonshine business.
Did you ever build a steel?
Yes, I have built one just recently for the Hall of Fame that I'm going into.
Time out. Now, Reagan pardoned you, right?
Right.
And that was a big deal. That's probably one of the biggest things that ever happened to you, right?
Well, he didn't know I was going to get back in the liquor business.
Well, that's what I'm going to ask you. Are you sure that going down there to the Hall of Fame and putting together a still, you think that's a good idea?
Well, I think he'll forgive me.
That is great. Can he hook up that still to the Hoover Dam so we can all enjoy?
But is he not a classicist?
Oh, that is cool.
I'm both.
Throwback. And, well, the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte opens up in May, so everybody might enjoy a taste of that.
Professor Johnson at his finest.
His exhibit there is going to be, he's got the old car that he won, the Daytona 500, and the 3 car, the Chevrolet. Actually, he didn't win the Daytona 500. That car was won, but
that was his mystery Chevrolet.
That was his mystery engine.
All right, we'll continue. NASCAR on
Speaking
Fox.
of mysteries,
Counting you down to the start of Vegas. 3 teammates, Richard Childress Racing. We'll take a closer look how they got their groove back. NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by Pennzoil, is sponsored by Sprint, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series.
Look at Logano.
And watching that 20 car, and he is coming forward.
I think the confidence will just continue to go up with that young man.
He's over Hannah Montana, 19-year-old Joey Logano into the top 12, highest he's ever been after 2 of 36 points races. Kevin Harvick, the points leader for the first time since he won the 2007 Daytona 500, 109 races ago, his last win. And on this exact date, 2001, Kevin married his wife, Delana, here in Las Vegas, so a happy anniversary to the two of you. In addition to Kevin Harvick, Richard Childress Racing has Clint Boyer in second place. Jeff Burton is in the 5th spot in those standings. And for a team that had no drivers in last year's championship chase, that's big news. Larry McReynolds, once a crew chief for Richard Childress, sat down with Team RCR.
Yeah, Kevin, you really didn't have to wear your uniform for us. You could have dressed like your buddies here. You wear it all the time,
As
right?
good as everything's been going, you don't want to get out of it now.
Jeff, I want to go back to California last week. You pretty much knew one of the cars you probably were going to have to beat was going to be the 48 car. You came that close to catching him a lap down on pit road.
Caution comes out. When you're in that situation, you have to carry as much speed as you can without getting in trouble. So we came around pretty quick, and if I had her to do over again, I'd try to come around about, a 1/10 of a second quicker.
Kevin, you had a comment after the race that you would love to find that horseshoe that they seem to have hanging somewhere.
I mean, I didn't mean anything by it other than the fact that they're really good, and when they're lucky too, they become even harder to beat. I spent the week searching for the horseshoe, so.
I don't want to know where he was looking.
Do you feel like this is the best start that this organization has gotten to a new season?
Definitely the best speed weeks we've had. I know we didn't win the race, but it's definitely the best 2 weeks that we've had to start the season.
But we got to keep it up. We've got to put a full year together. We're not going to get caught up in one race, whether it's this race or the next one. We got to get caught up in a year. You know, having an off season like we did last year, we were all frustrated, you know, but nobody gave up. And Richard, as an owner, you know, he would go in and sit in many meetings and have a come to Jesus meeting, so to speak. But you know, I'm excited for RCR.
What do you guys think it is about Richard that people want to stay there working for Richard Childress?
I think it's just that blue-collar type mentality that he brings to the shop. You know, it's not tight white shirts and with starch other than the ones Richard wears. It's just it's a laid-back place to work, but it's a bunch of racers, and I think a lot of people like that.
I mean, that's what I like most about Rich. He's a racer. You know, we all grew up racing. All of us have raced since we was little bitty, and you know, that's all we know, and that's all he knows. For a guy that has done as much as he has, it would be easy for him to say, my cars are always right, y'all just drive them. He's never done that to me. He's always been, we'll make the cars better so you can do what you need to do, and I have a lot of respect for that.
I was strolling through one of the casinos, and I looked up on the odds board, and it showed all three of you guys at 15-to-1 odds to win the Las Vegas race.
Is it legal to bet on yourself in racing? How does that work? We've had a great first two races. You know, you can make a reasonable case that we should be the favorites coming in here. All that's really cool. None of it pays a dime. You know, what we're out for is to get the trophy that hadn't been at RCR in a long time, and none of us have ever gotten. And you know, this is the year to do that. I really believe that.
Bouncing back, you know, Professor Waltrip with his notes.
This is the way you want to start the season right here, particularly coming off the kind of year those guys had last year. Listen to this, folks. 3 drivers in the top 5 in points, 3 drivers in the top 10 at Fontana, 3 drivers in the top 11 at Daytona, and all 3 drivers led the race at Fontana. That's the way you start a season off right there.
He did his research, but what I like...
Eat your heart out, Larry Mack.
Richard Childress is he's worked at all levels. He's kind of the every guy owner, and he relates to these drivers.
He really is. He's just a lot like Junior Johnson. He started out with nothing. He's built it into very much a success story, and he continues, I think, to give guys like Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer and the veteran Jeff Burton opportunities to win. And anytime he gets down, he works 10 times harder to get back on top, and he gets there. And, you need to leave him less on a lot more. Makes you smarter.
Because you don't look so good when I see you.
Between the two of you, you doing an ad for Lens Crafters? What's going on here?
You never know.
You got hair growing out of your nose.
Richard Petty, the King, holds NASCAR's record with 200 wins. His first win was 50 years ago today. David Pearson second on that all-time list with 105 wins, but the Silver Fox might have to look at his rear-view mirror because Jimmy Johnson is coming. Last week, the 34-year-old driver of the 48 car won his 48th career race.
And he's going to win his 13th start. His first career win.
That's what you expect from champions.
Jimmy Johnson wins the Auto Club 500 from his 48th career win.
Johnson, title train rolling along. Over the past 4 seasons, he's averaged at least 1 win in the first 4 races of the year, coming off the big win at Fontana. But the weather today, about 10 degrees warmer than Saturday and even Friday. What's your biggest concern?
I'm actually excited. I think this is going to be good for us. There wasn't a lot of drop-off yesterday in practice with the cool conditions. It was easy to produce a lap. And I think today it's going to come down to the team and driver that can handle the slick conditions. And I'm excited for it. Our Cobalt Tools Chevrolet has been awesome. It's been a good track to us over the years, and hopefully we give all the employee owners a little something to root about today.
A good track indeed. He's won 3 of his first 8 races here in Las Vegas.
Carl Edwards, a former winner at this track. How hungry are you? I don't want to remind you of this, but it's been over a year since you stood in victory lane. How bad is that hunger?
Starving. Our Aflac team has been working very hard. We've got Kellogg's and Cheez-Its on board today, and we were second on our average sheet yesterday. So Bob and the guys have been working hard, and you know, our meetings, it's like a broken record. We got the same problem every week, and all of our guys have been working very hard to fix it. And that was the first time yesterday that my Aflac Ford Fusion has handled really well, and we've run some fast laps. I think Mark's very fast. The only question to me is that, you know, the sun's out, the track's going to change a little bit, but we're ready to win. We want to get there.
Well, your life's a lot different now than it was 4 days ago, Carl.
Yeah, it's unreal. I'm blessed. I got to say hi to Kate and little Annie at home. I love you guys. It's so strange to be a father, to have a family. So it's a miracle. That's for sure.
All right, good luck today, Carl. And he admitted to me he has been changing diapers.
And then, you know, Krista, he said shout out to little Annie. Yeah. They named the baby Ann because Kate, his wife, she said she wanted a simple name. And so they named her Ann, and they're going to call her Annie.
We still are on baby watch. Elliott Sadler and his wife had their child, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, and Juan Pablo Montoya. So a lot to cover there. All right, great news, and we've been talking about this. DirecTV NASCAR head-to-head knockout. It's there for you to enjoy. Real drivers, real competition, real money. And it starts at the April race in Texas. It has 32 drivers, and they go into 4 different brackets, and there's a chance to win money. And, of course, we'll set you up with it.
Yeah, Chris, it's just like a basketball tournament. You pick your driver. It's a driver versus driver matchup. All of a sudden, you know, if your driver wins, he goes to the next round. And the cool thing about it is the deciding championship will be at Darlington at the fastest 4 showdown.
Yeah, and the fan that gets the most accurate picks, well, they get a limited edition car. They can win a limited edition car. But the guy that gets it perfect, if anybody can get it perfect, he gets $1 million. Cha-ching!
So you guys can set the field and help people with their brackets. You can follow the matchups on DirecTV, and for more information, go to directv.com/NASCAR. You're watching NASCAR on Fox, and when we continue to count you down to the start of the race here in Vegas, Jeff Gordon, he's won here before. He's a champion. He'll be on row 1, but what kind of hijinks was he up to with Jeff Hammond?
I like that look.
Live in Vegas, NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing, the start of the race, rolling your way in just a moment. And look, all the stars in Vegas are out for the races. And even Kim Kardashian was in the garage. I saw her. I said, "You're the last person I thought I'd see in the garage." She said, "I was going to say that about you." But she's actually has a fragrance, and she's advertising on one of the cars that we'll see here racing. Her boyfriend, the Super Bowl champion, Reggie Bush.
You smell a little funny.
Of the New Orleans Saints. That's the motor oil. Jeff Gordon is Jeff Gordon's one of the leading faces of NASCAR, talented in the car, just as smooth and polished in front of the camera. At the start of the show today, you saw him having it up with Jeff Hammond. They did a spoof of the movie Hangover. Gordon agreed to be interviewed with Jeff, and that's a headache, if you know what I mean.
Come on now, you can do better than that. You know, I had an opportunity to go see where the high rollers try to hang out, and on top of that, to get a chance to see Jeff away from the racetrack. It's pretty interesting.
Well, Mr. Gordon, what in the world are we doing here at Caesar's Palace? I mean, what's going on here?
We're in the high roller suite.
I know that.
We're doing a Pepsi Max photo shoot and simulating one of my all-time favorite movies. But this is a shoot for Maxim.
I mean, I was just noticing a minute ago, it looks like your crew, not only do they race hard, but it looks like they party hard too.
That's right, and that's what we're showing is how hard these guys work throughout the night, you know, and what it takes to get that car ready for the racetrack on Sunday.
Well, not quite the start I think you were looking for.
When you have the first 2 races go the way ours have, you can't wait to get to the next one, you know, and if it goes bad here, we can't wait to get to the next one after that.
Read today what Jeff Gordon said. Been thinking about it. I think I'd like to race another 6 or 7 years. Did you say that?
I don't know about 6 or 7, but you know, I'm not putting a number on it. I mean, I realize how darn competitive I am. You know, I can't stand not winning and not battling for that championship, you know, more than we have.
That little episode with the slice of peasy, you kind of worried me. Your back must be really in good shape.
Oh, yeah, right. I know that. I was afraid I was biting off more than I could chew there.
Literally.
But, my back is doing good. I've been working out really hard, and it's paying off. I mean, I can't wait to get in the summer and really, you know, see how it's going to affect me in the car and benefit me.
What is going on as far as NASCAR is concerned? You're expecting Carl Edwards just, I think, had a baby the other day.
It's be careful. Yeah. Be careful. It's certainly exciting for us and everybody involved, and I guess the future of NASCAR is looking bright with all these kids coming along.
All these kids coming along. Well, Jeff, as always, glad to catch up with you here. You know, trying to get over a hangover. We appreciate you being with us.
We had a lot of fun having you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's a neat setup. And it was Dale Earnhardt who dubbed him, remember, Wonder Boy, and now he's talking about the younger guys. But he's really off to his worst points start in 10 years. I mean, always a positive attitude. Can he turn it around? I know it's early.
Yes, he can. I think he's got that positive attitude. The team is ready. He's had some things happen that wasn't necessarily of his own making. But, guys, the coolest thing about hanging out with Jeff was listening to him talk. He just came in from Aspen, taught his daughter Ella, or the instructor taught his daughter how to snow ski. He was just so bubbly about that. He loves his kids.
And he's part owner of the car that Jimmy Johnson wins in.
Yeah, you know what? I think Jeff Gordon is at kind of a crossroads. He's where he, right now in his career, where he was when he started. He's a little bit older, and these young guys are putting a lot of pressure on him.
Still motivated.
Yesterday in practice, he called his car a stupid tight. I thought he was talking about me tipping the doorman at the Bellagio, but I caught on. Hey,
stupid cheat.
Okay, yeah, all right. A few days ago, when Kurt Busch were in Vegas, found out that we were going to interview his younger brother Kyle, who you saw. There was a little sibling rivalry that kicked in, and Kurt garnered airtime when he did his own rendition of "He Ain't Faster, He's My Brother." He set a track record during Friday's qualifying session.
Kurt Busch, hometown boy, home game for him. He is on a mission.
He wants to win this race so bad.
Well, Kurt, you start from the pole, which is great, but talk about what winning here would be like. You said this is like a Daytona atmosphere for you.
Oh, it is. It's my hometown. Love Las Vegas. The atmosphere, the people, all the sponsors love coming to Vegas, and this is a big event, but I just now got to just treat it like a regular event. I won Texas last fall, and that's the mindset I'm going into. I got to get in detail with the racetrack and got to find the right setup for the car.
Talk about the charity event Thursday night. Heard there's some good beating and banging.
Oh, there was. It was great to have the support of a bunch of Cup drivers, some nationwide guys. We raised over $30,000 having fun racing go-karts, and I had some kids on my team that are local racers trying to make a name for themselves, and I was given a big break by a local guy here that owns a Star Nursery years ago, and I'm just trying to help out these kids, and it makes a big difference, though, when we give back to the community and nationwide, and having all these guys racing hard. I mean, Montoya's out there, Truex, my teammates Keselowski, Hornish, we were elbows up, and Marty Smith from ESPN, he got hurt. He got hit so hard his helmet popped off, so we had a good time.
All right, good luck today.
Thanks a lot.
Well, Mark Martin was fast in practice, but is that car fast enough under different weather conditions today to win the race?
We'll have to find out here in just a little while. I was really happy with the car yesterday. Just real happy and having a lot of fun. The racetrack is in the tire that Goodyear's brought is really in a good place for good racing today. So congratulations to Bruton, sold-out crowd here, and I'd just like to say that I'm thinking about Jake Elder and the contribution that he made to the young drivers in the sport, like Darrell Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt Sr. and the influence he had on my career as well. So just wish there were more guys like him in the sport today.
Indeed. Very first time Mark Martin came here was the first NASCAR Sprint Cup race they had, and he went home with the winner's trophy.
All right, thanks, Dick. And Mark?
Yeah, the thing about it, he mentioned the tires. The reason the speeds are up so much and we broke the track record is Goodyear has come with an awesome tire. Soft left side tires, a lot of grip, ride that white line. Should make for some good racing today.
Speaking of good racing, the guy starting on the pole, Kurt Busch, just remember his crew chief is Steve Addington. Who won the race here in the spring a year ago? Steve Addington. He was crew chief for that guy on the left, Kyle Busch, at that time. So maybe he learned something that'll help Kurt get to victory lane.
Kept his notebook, that's for sure.
I guarantee he did.
A couple of brothers moving up the all-time brothers list, trying to chase Darrell and Michael Waltrip.
Already hand racing.
All right, coming up, NASCAR at Fox, the pre-race show continues. We count you down to the start of the race. We'll check in with Frank Caliendo.
Chris Myers along with Jeff Hammond. And remember, stick around for more NASCAR on Fox.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is presented by new Pennzoil Ultra with hyper-cleansing technology. And sponsored by Amp Energy. Go to ampupthe88.com this Wednesday, March 3rd, to chat live with the 88 team's engineer. By DirecTV, it'll change your life. And by FedEx, we understand you need reliable shipping options. FedEx. Continuing out west here in Las Vegas before Atlanta next week as you get a good view of the snow-capped mountains and Denny Hamlin, part of Joe Gibbs Racing, hoping to change his luck in the early part of the season. Dale Earnhardt Jr. starting in row 2 today. They're all going after Jimmy Johnson. Found a way to win last week, going for his 5th straight Sprint Cup championship. That never gets old. As we welcome you back in the studio. And Darrell, Jeff, Suitcase Jake Elder, we mentioned his name last week, and at the age of 73, passed away on Wednesday. A champion crew chief. He worked with the Pettys, the Allisons, Dale Earnhardt, and Darrell, he worked with you, and you knew him well.
I did, and he's a legend. And folks, everything Jake Elder did, he did with his hands, and he did with his heart. He didn't keep a notebook. He didn't write anything down. He had it all in his head. And I would not be sitting here today. I would not have had the success I've had if it hadn't been for Jake Elder. That's he down on the left. He's hugging my grandmother, and that was my first win at Nashville, Tennessee in 1975. That's my last win in 1992 with Jake by my side. Jeff was all in between there, but it's kind of ironic that Suitcase was with me, the first win I had and the last one.
And right now, Darrell, the reason why they called him Suitcase Jake is he worked with so many different drivers. But when I was growing up and wanting to be a crew chief, Jake Elder was one of the guys I was looking up to learn from.
Yeah, he'd be missed. He's a sweet man.
He was a great guy.
Our sincere feelings are with the Elder family, those in the racing community who also were part of his family. We move on now to NASCAR news and notes. And Daytona 500 winner Jamie McMurray went back home to Missouri this week. The governor, Jay Dixon, and fans met with Jamie at the state capitol. February 25th is Jamie McMurray Day. Greg Biffle announcing he signed a partial ownership deal with Sunset Speedway in Banks, Oregon. It's a dirt track outside of Portland. It'll host 35 events coming up this year. Casey Kane said this week he's not sure about his future after this year. He wants to take time and see how things work out at Richard Petty Motorsports. Also going to check out some other teams and monitor the manufacturer's performances. A perfect setup for Gas and Go. I supply the questions. They supply the answers.
No. I'm taking him down today, buddy. I'm ready for you.
You're on the clock.
Bring it on.
Well, we start with Darrell because you jumped the gun. All right. Will Casey Kane or Ryan Newman be able to bounce back? Kane, finished 30th. Newman has failed to finish the first two races.
You know, I've said all along that things at Richard Petty Motorsports are just a little disarray over there. Switching manufacturers, and I expected them to do better than they're doing. I think they got to get their act together internally before they can perform on the track.
Okay, Jeff, for you, what happened to the axle on Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car last week? And remember, they talked the possibility of Jimmy Johnson, if they went 5 or 6 laps, that could have been a problem.
It broke.
That's it? Okay, thank you very much for that insight. You've been listening to Darrell too much. You're a crew chief. You're supposed to know more than that.
I do, but I don't need to explain
Well,
to
I guess the concern is,
it got hot and broke.
Is it likely to happen today?
Yes, it could happen.
It could happen today.
They're working to try to correct it.
All right, thank you for nothing. All right, Darrell, Las Vegas, one of the 3 tracks that Tony Stewart, who's won everywhere at every level, but he hadn't won yet on this track. How about it today? How's he look at his week?
Well, you know, it's another guy that's struggling a little bit the start of the season here. The car didn't perform all that great at Daytona. He did get a good top 10 finish last week at Fontana, but still, this team looks like they're working on things. Maybe they're changing things around. Maybe he'll come on later on in the summer like he always does.
Might I add?
Yeah, real quick.
I think Stewart Haas will have a good run today.
Okay,
both the 39 and the 14.
And just for the record, Darlington.
Was that your question?
All right, no, it's not.
I didn't think so.
Darlington and the Auto Club Speedway were the other two that he hasn't won on. All right, Jeff, Brad Keselowski seems to have an aggressive style. He's got the feud going with Denny Hamlin. Is he getting other guys that are getting upset with him?
Yep, Bad Brad's going. Anybody gets in his way. I mean, he's not afraid to take anybody on. He's got a simple, I guess you might say, code of honor. You wrong me, I'll wrong you back worse.
All right,
if he wants, I'll hit you twice.
Let's pick up the pace, Darrell. Denny Hamlin, what does he have to do to change things for the rough early start here?
And you know, I think that's an internal thing as well. I think he and his crew chief have got to get together and encourage each other a little bit more than they are right now. I think they're a little bit at odds.
All right, Jeff, Scott Speed on the verge of a breakout year. He's led laps in both of the first 2 races. Should we keep an eye on him here?
I think you're going to have to. He's been under a lot of pressure because they knew if he did not perform early in this part of the season, he could wind up losing his job. I think he's come this year basically to race, as they like to say. He's got his racing face on, not his hat.
No, I got to get that hat to go with my glasses.
You'd fit it. All right, Darrell.
We're back in here, baby.
We know you'll love to catch a show when you're in Vegas every time we come out. So what did you see this week? What do you like?
The great new Elvis show. Went to see the Elvis show. I like Elvis music, and they knocked it out of the park. I've seen Beatles show, and now the Elvis show, and I like it a lot better.
All right, good job.
You want to say thank you to your ticket getter?
Ticketmaster.
That's exactly Ticketmaster.
Time's up. Speaking of shows, 10th season for NASCAR on Fox, our show. That means for the past 9 years, we've visited with some of the legends in Las Vegas, the headline acts, as we take a look back at Penn and Teller. Jeff, that was an amazing card trick. Who else do we have? Lance Burton did a little bit of magic as well.
He didn't make you disappear.
you were hoping. And Matt King. There you go. He tried to get rid of me. All right. And those of you who have seen him on the NFL on Fox know that Frank Caliendo is a funny and impressionable guy. He performs at the Monte Carlo here in Las Vegas. Now, Jeff wasn't sure if Monte Carlo was a car, a country, a sandwich, or a hotel. We're here at the of Monte Carlo and our old friend Frank Caliendo. Frank, nice to see you again.
Good to see you, Chris. Hey, how are you?
I know you have numerous impressions and voices. You're a big football guy, but what would some of your characters say about NASCAR?
Now, I want to go first here. Charles Barkley, what would he say about the pothole we had in Daytona?
I tell you what, that was terrible. That was terrible, T-R-B-L, terrible. That track was sorrier than Tiger Woods. Only a knucklehead driving a pothole. That's terrible.
Yeah, world famous John Madden, right? John Madden on NASCAR.
Yeah, I mean, I do that one. Thanks, Chris. I mean, you think of, I mean, if there's one thing in the world I love, it's NASCAR. And Mark Martin is my favorite. He's like the Brett Favre. I mean, he refuses to retire, even though he's really, really old.
So give me Al Pacino. I love your Pacino.
I tell you what, let's all get in our cars and drive with only left turns.
All right, and Jay Leno is back on TV. What would give us a little Jay Leno?
You know, a lot of NASCAR wives are having babies these days. True story, true story. You know, this is one accomplishment. I don't want to hear him give credit to the guys back at the shop, if you know what I mean.
Hey, that's great. Hey, do Nicholas, Jack Nicholas, do Jack Nicholas.
Jack Nicholas is a golfer. Jack Nicholson is an actor. And you, sir, are a jackass.
Yeah, I think we all know that. But no, Kim Kardashian is going to be on the hood of a car.
On the hood, huh? Yeah. I'd have her on the rear end. I'd love her in my car anytime. Hey, I could put her on my bus.
Now, you know he's not a big star. But can you do Chris Myers?
Oh, you're not a big star. I am huge. Can somebody get me some hairspray?
I don't think I sound like
I don't sound like you. Hey, you know what? Chris, I was at a race the other day, and they said Craftsman was the official tool in NASCAR. I thought you were the official tool in NASCAR. oh, man. Oh, jeez.
He kids because
you, my friend.
He carries. You love that, right?
That.
Anytime
Yes.
somebody calls him that, it was good. You're heading up to the play-by-play booth. Give us your give us your winner for today.
I tell you, I'm pulling for Kevin Harvick again this week because he won
You're trying
yesterday.
to steal my guy right there.
That's my best.
I'm going to give you a long shot. Sam Hornish Jr.
Wow, we got a
Rudy
favorite and a long shot. We're counting it out at the start of the race, and there's the hometown guy. We'll continue here in just a moment. Glad you're with us from Las Vegas as we welcome you back to NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing presented by Pennzoil, the 13th Cup race held here in Las Vegas. Mark Martin won the very first one. Kyle Busch won last year. And it was last year at this time, Matt Kenseth, who won the first two races of last year and then dipped. He currently is still in the top 10 in points. He has won here back-to-back. That was in 03 and 04. Let's head down trackside for opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Nellis Air Force Base Honor Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Las Vegas Motor Speedway track chaplain Joe Freiberger offers today's invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for giving us a beautiful day for racing. And Lord, we ask that you would bless and protect each one of these drivers, their crews, and the fire and safety personnel. And Lord, we thank you that we live in this great country. And we ask a special blessing for the men and women who defend this nation. It's in your name that we pray. Amen.
Please welcome the Mirage Hotel and Casino headliner and the winner of America's Got Talent, Terry Fader, as he performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Race fans, let's hear it for Terry.
NASCAR, not just for the rich and famous, and the Thunderbirds from nearby Nellis Air Force Base, America's ambassadors in blue. We'll count you down here. They're getting ready to roll. It's NASCAR on Fox. Well, you're with us live here in Las Vegas, and NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing is presented by Pennzoil, and over 35 million visitors come to Las Vegas every year. Today, these are the faces of 43 who are the center of attention, their game face, their race face, as they are ready to roll. Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers from the Hollywood Hotel before we hand it off upstairs.
Yep.
And your Verizon checklist, some things to watch for as we check out the 400 miles.
Yeah, we're going to get into some interesting situations here. And right on the get-go is the weather. It's been cool all weekend long here. Today it's going to be hot. We've already heard about Jimmy Johnson talking about how slick the racetrack's going to be. Who can keep up with that chassis adjustment or wind up being on top of it? But you got to watch turn 4. I think turn 4 is going to have a lot of action. Guys are going to make mistakes and getting on pit road. A lot of things happening in that area. You mentioned pit road. It's going to be, I think, probably the most interesting part of the race. Guys are going to get caught speeding. Remember, write that down. Somebody will get busted speeding today. And also eliminate mistakes on pit road. We saw Kevin Harvick's team yesterday make a lot of mistakes. He still won the race, but today you make those kind of mistakes, you will not win.
All right, so we go from Daytona, a 2.5-mile track, 2 miles in California, 1.5 miles here in Las Vegas, and gambling is legal in Las Vegas.
Yeah, take a look right there. The guy who won yesterday, Kevin Harvick.
And we have in the nationwide race, he got all over his pit crew. He called them idiots, and then they
it's
rallied.
Like you were talking to me.
All right, Jimmy Johnson is your favorite. He could be the favorite every week, no matter where we run. But look, do you like any? What about like Kenseth or Stewart? Any of those at 14, 15
I want to go long shot right now. I like Matt Kenseth or Tony Stewart. I'm going to put money on anybody.
And you said for a real big long shot, Sam Hornish Jr.
Yep.
Jamie McMurray, the Daytona 500 winner, starting in row 12. Hoping for a bounce-back performance after disappointment in California. It's the words everybody wants to hear, and I don't mean you've been comped. Let's go down trackside. Our co-grand marshals, Carol Shelby, Kim Kardashian are there as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your co-grand marshals for today's Shelby American. Racing and automotive legend Carol Shelby. And America's sweetheart, the star of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Kim Kardashian, as they deliver the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Will hometown heroes Kurt Kyle Busch pull out a victory? Will Junior bounce back? What goes on in Las Vegas ends in victory lane. Good luck from above as we welcome you to NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing from Las Vegas, presented by Pennzoil. And the guys who will take you through the race, all 400 miles of Vegas fun, Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, and Mike Joy.
Thanks, Chris, and hello, everybody. And behind us, the sun is bright and shining, and we haven't seen that in weeks.
Since Homestead in November.
For a NASCAR event. So, Darrell, not only that, let's get to that in a second. 18 drivers broke the track record in qualifying. This track is the fastest it's ever been.
Well, that's the one thing that I noticed when we first got here. I said, man, these cars are flying through the turns, and that's where they really made up the most speed. They broke the track record here. They didn't just break it, they shattered it by 3 miles an hour. And that does a couple of things. It puts a lot of extra pressure on the driver because the cars are so fast, also on those engines. And Larry, today, as we just said, I don't know that we've seen it. We haven't seen the sunshine like this in quite a while.
No, and actually Kyle Busch talked about it in the pre-race. These guys
guys have no idea what they have with these race cars, and we kind of was a little leery of that during practice yesterday with it being very cloudy and very overcast. I think the guys that even ran the nationwide race, they do not have an idea. But here's the point in case. In the past races here, we had a very late start. You could kind of depend on the track coming to you late in the race, but this racetrack and this race, it's going to end in the same almost conditions that we have right now, so you're going to have to be aggressive with changes. You can't depend on the weather fixing the problems that your car has.
Right, Larry, this race starts an hour and a half earlier than it did last year. Partly cloudy skies, great day to go racing, and here's the way they will line up for the Shelby American today from back to front. A.J. Allmendinger has to go to the rear, engine change prior to qualifying. And as we work our way toward the front row, which will be Jeff Gordon on the outside of the hometown hero, Kurt Busch. Darrell, let's see if we can dial up the pole sitter.
Hey, Kurt Busch, it's DW in the Fox Sports booth. You got a copy, man? And Kurt, DW here. You got a copy? I think he's trying to talk to us. Kurt Busch, it's DW. Got a copy, buddy?
10-4, DW. What's going on?
Oh, I just thought I'd check in with you here on this beautiful Sunday afternoon with the sun shining. Hey, your brother pulled it off last year from the back, actually. How's your car and what's your chances today, man?
Well, we feel pretty good with our Miller Lite Dodge. We were able to sit on the pole and get a good feel for it in happy hour. But now the sun's out. I'm standing right. 3 and 4 gets real slick as the day goes on, so have to rely on my help dial us in, and we're going to be there at the end. That's what pays big, so hopefully we'll do it. And just saying hi to Mom, watching on TV. She couldn't make it today.
All right, buddy. You got the best seat in the house. Take advantage of it.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot.
Let's take a look at our FedEx Understanding the Race. This is the patterns or trends that crew chiefs look at maybe to make calls in this race. The number of cautions, an average of 8. We actually had 14 last year in 2009. First caution comes out roughly average lap 25, but 5 times in our 9 races of NASCAR on Fox at Las Vegas, it came out in the first 10 laps. The longest green flag run, roughly 65 laps. We always see at least one set of green flag stops here. And the last caution, average lap 233. You can almost bank somewhere around 30 to 35 laps to go.
Thanks, Larry. Today's race is brought to you by Budweiser. The beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, clean finish. Budweiser, it's what we do. Downstairs to our NASCAR on Fox All-Star pit crew. First, Chris Devoda.
Well, Mike, with the warmer temps, it won't just be the track that's slick, but also pit road. Chad Knaus told me his driver, Jimmy Johnson, will be tested, specifically with the transition from the asphalt pit road to the concrete pit stalls. Stopping and accelerating extremely tricky. Matt Yoakum?
Jamie McMurray enters Las Vegas 4th in the championship standings. He's trying not to lose that momentum that he gained with the Daytona 500 victory. The current concern, though, for he and his team today, the car was tight in practice. They loosened it up, but with the weather conditions like they are, they're concerned they might have loosened up too much. So the early laps will be a big telltale sign of what direction they're headed. Dick Berggren?
In 2007, Greg Biffle endured a tremendous crash in testing here. He survived that crash and went on to win in the Nationwide Series and also in the Truck Series here at Las Vegas. He's never won in the Sprint Cup Series, but practice has shown he has a very strong race car. The driver is confident, the crew is confident. Today will be the day they will take home the trophy. Steve Burns.
Well, Dick, Kevin Harvick, not one of those 18 drivers that shattered the track record. In fact, he crashed in practice on Friday. He never had time to get ready for qualifying. So he starts deep in the field in that 29 car, but they got the car so good in practice yesterday to a point they started experimenting, but it'll fun to be watched. Kevin Harvick come from the back and continue his early season hot streak.
Thanks, Steve. He starts 34th. He is the point standing leader. Teammate Clint Boyer rolls off here from 13th position. He is the point standing runner-up, and their teammate Jeff Burton comes in here starting 22nd, but 5th in points.
You know, Mike, sunshine on your shoulders might make you happy, but not for a race car driver. He liked the cloudy overcast that made the cars a lot easier. Whatever your handling problem was yesterday, the sun's going to make it worse.
Now, on the start of the race and each restart, the leader, and only the leader, gets his choice of the inside and the outside lane. Kurt Busch has chosen to start on the inside. So he starts the race. He is still the pole sitter. Jeff Gordon lines up and heads the inside lane.
And I think if we had seen the groove really move up, that may have changed. And I think we could see it change throughout the course of the day.
Today's race, last year's race was 427 miles. Today it's 400 miles, 267 laps.
Pit road speed 45 miles per hour. A lot of speeding penalties in yesterday's Nationwide Series race. The pit window for Sunoco Race Fuel, 52 to 56 laps.
A very difficult pit road to get onto without hitting that commitment cone, or actually ended up out in the grass.
Now that's a sharp transition off turn 4 to get to pit lane. Leading the field, the 2011 Shelby GT 350, bringing back a famous name from the past. Shelby's modified version of the 2011 Mustang GT. Lights are out. We're ready to go.
DW, she's hot, she's slick, but she's still fast. Best advice I can give you, reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time.
All right, Larry. Message received. Green flag in the air. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Viva Las Vegas, boys! I think you can immediately see why he chose the outside, the 2-car did on that start. There's a lot of momentum on that outside line.
Dale Jr. had to drop back to 6th to find a place in line. Here comes Gordon. He wants to lead lap 1 from Kurt Busch.
He's got it.
I think what happened, Kurt Busch overdrove turn 3. Busch won the battle getting in the corner. Gordon won the battle off, and it carried all the way down the straightaway.
Couldn't get back to the throttle. He was waiting on the car. But these two guys look like they might want to just go at each other here for a while.
Yes, they do. Kurt Busch fighting back. I think he'll win this battle getting into turn 3.
And Ryan Newman lurking in 3rd. Trouble turn 2. Car in the middle of the back straightaway. Down on the apron. Caution waves. And the field will slow to pace car speed. Robbie Gordon got little practice. Did not get to qualify. He is involved with rookie Kevin Conway in the 37 back there in turn 2.
Well, if you remember the FedEx Understanding the race, 5 times in the first 10 laps the last 9 races we've had a caution.
Let's show you what happened to the 37 in turn 2. The blue car, top of your screen.
Gets up too high. Pretty dirty up there right now. You can see the dust and dirt starting to fly. Just loses it. Comes right down the track.
Little damage.
Light contact with that inside wall, looked like.
And from here we see Robbie Gordon slowed to miss Conway. And otherwise didn't appear to be involved.
It's about the only good thing that's happened to Robbie Gordon this week. He's had a rough week.
You know, Larry, the guys down in the pits all told me that they really appreciate you doing all those statistics for them. Saves them a lot of work at night.
Doing their homework.
There's new dad Carl Edwards.
Annie.
Baby Ann came this week. And here's our Aflac Do You Know Quack Trivia Quiz. Text your answer to 36888 and you could win a replica helmet autographed by Carl. What safety advancement was first introduced at NASCAR at Indy in 2002? Safer barriers, retaining walls, red lights, or the Hans device? Text your answer to 36888. The answer to follow.
Got a few takers coming to pit road. It's guys that were at the back. You know, if you're back there, you never want to pass up an opportunity at a 1.5-mile racetrack to top that fuel tank off with Sunoco Race Fuel.
And that's mostly what I think you'll see. Just guys hit that fuel filler one time. Give them an extra lap or two when we go back green.
Now, Kevin Conway did get some damage in that accident. I didn't think he hit the wall, but that transition came slamming down hard off the banking to the apron, and that may have hurt the splitter on his car, in front of his car.
You can see it, Mike. It's pretty bowed up there in the center. Yep. See the support brackets that have bent the nose up a little bit.
43-car field, only 2 drivers went home. Casey Mears and rookie Terry Cook were the 2 who failed to qualify. And here's Jimmy Johnson, who started in 20th today, and he's picked up 2 spots.
Even though we didn't run but a couple of laps, Larry, those are 2 vital laps. When the driver now can slow down here for a second and tell the crew chief, here's what the car did in that couple of laps.
Initially, yeah.
So Jeff Gordon, your leader. From Kurt Busch, Ryan Newman, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano. Logano led a lot yesterday. The nationwide race.
Tell you what, he's actually been solid here all weekend long, and Denny Hamlin, I think, was driving that car yesterday for Joe Gibbs Racing. It's the first time Joey's not run a Nationwide Series race this year.
Oh, thank you. Did you know Jimmy Johnson started his racing career off-road in a Chevy truck? That's why he's excited to give you a chance to win a powerful, dependable Chevy Silverado at winjimmysilverado.com. Log in for your chance to win.
He looks so comfortable in that race car. The way the steering wheel sets and the way he sets in the seat, he just looks like he's really comfortable sitting in there.
You know, we talked about the speeds at this racetrack. They are close to what they were a week ago at Auto Club Speedway, but you got a half-mile less racetrack to do it in. That just shows you how fast these cars are here at this mile-and-a-half track.
Yeah, good. The tires that they run here this time, the left sides are so much better than what they've had in the past. That's where the speed came from.
New rule implemented this year. They pulled Kevin Conway back to his pit because he sped, leaving the pits to try to beat the pace car and stay on the lead lap, and that will get you a speeding ticket. So Conway will lose that lap that he tried to regain from the field, and we're ready to go back to green.
Yeah, the penalty in the past was just tail in the longest line, but now it's a one-lap penalty.
Never quite understood that one. I'm glad they fixed it.
This time with Kurt Busch on the inside, Jeff Gordon on the outside. One quick caution, and we're ready to resume with 5 laps complete. Green flag. This time 7 cars break away from the pack just a little bit.
Tell you, a car getting racy early. When he cut that qualifying lap on Friday, we thought it was a pole lap. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 88 car. It's been a good racetrack for him the last 2 or 3 years.
I like the way it jumped out from under him off of 4, though, Larry. That didn't look too good. Car's fast. We know he's fast. They got the handle on it or not.
Junior's in 5th with Biffle and Logano. Ryan Newman was 3rd. Steve.
Mike, early report from Dale Earnhardt Jr. on this track. She's slick out here.
That is no surprise.
Well, that's what I saw when he came off 4 right here last time by. Back end just jumped out, and you got to watch him off turn 4. That's where you smack that wall a lot.
I mean, just look at the miles per hour at a mile-and-a-half racetrack. It clicked up to 200 miles an hour in race trim.
That's one thing from the moment we started practice here, I said, Larry, these cars are going faster through the corners than anywhere I think we've ever been. They're flying around this joint.
We even saw it riding on the golf cart when Nationwide cars were practicing going down toward turns 1. It's like, wow, they're going fast. Kevin Harvick had gained 7 positions as he battles side by side with Travis Kvapil and with Regan Smith.
Yeah, this is a brand new car they unloaded here on Friday, and he smacked a wall in practice less than 5 minutes into it. They spent most of that practice before qualifying just repairing the car.
Looks like they fixed it pretty well. Talking about I'm going fast, it's got to remind you of Ricky Bobby, right?
Yeah. Some days Kevin reminds me a lot of Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, exactly.
You bet. Juan Pablo Montoya making the move on Joey Logano. This will be for 8th place. Tony Stewart has moved up into 7th. Those Stewart-Haas cars need a rebound, and Larry, looks like today with Newman in 4th and Stewart now 7th, they may get one.
Well, as a package, this is the best they've looked this year. You know, Stewart especially struggled at Daytona, and neither car was where it needed to be last week at Auto Club Speedway. The 39, Newman ended up blowing an engine.
Here comes Tony past Greg Biffle on the inside, moving up to 6th.
I just think Tony likes a track when it's hot and slick. I just don't think it's all that cool weather and grip. I think he likes to slide it around like on a dirt track.
Well, there's a dirt track out back of the grandstand here. Thursday night he got to see his USAC team race, and Friday night his World of Outlaw teams were in action there, including the King Steve Kinzer.
Well, just think about his record normally. He doesn't perform all that great in the first part of the year, but when summertime hits, man, he comes alive.
And it hit today. High 60s, a lot of sun. Here's Clint Boyer in the 33 racing hard with David Rudeman and Jimmy Johnson.
They're holding that 48 up. I've been watching him. He's clicking them off one at a time on his march to the front.
Yeah, he's 16th right now. He's being patient here. I think he'll be in the top 10 before that many laps.
Michael McDowell tweeted to his followers this morning that he was riding to the track with David Rudeman, who was telling everybody how to drive. David's dad, Buzzy. To the track. Not on the track, just to the track. Jeff Gordon has led every one of the 12 laps so far. Kurt Busch keeping things close.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is presented by new Pennzoil Ultra with hyper-cleansing technology. By Ford F-Series, America's best-selling brand of trucks for 33 years straight. Built Ford tough. By Sprint, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. And by Lowe's. Experience Lowe's. Let's build something together.
18 laps complete. Jeff Gordon has doubled his lead on Kurt Busch to 1.5 seconds. Kurt's younger brother Kyle now third, 2.7 seconds back. Today's Built Ford Tough track facts show that this is the 13th Sprint Cup race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and Ford has the most victories here. 6 out of 13. Matt Kenseth leads the list. He is a 2-time winner here for Roush Fenway Racing. There's Matt, who currently is 12th, about 9 seconds off the lead.
Of course, as we all know, it's been now a little over a year since its 17 car where Matt Kenseth has been to victory lane. Blew up before lap 10 here a year ago.
Down on the grass was H.A. Allmendinger.
Clear, 15 back.
Where was he going?
He lost it off turn 4. And he gathered it back up. He gathered it back up down here in the infield.
Former open wheeler from Los Gatos, California.
There he is.
The red roofed car there.
You just that coming off that corner right there, you just see that over and over again. Nice job of saving it.
I think what saved him kept those right side tires at least on the asphalt. Didn't get all 4 tires on the grass.
But Larry, you were talking about Matt Kenseth, and of course, they had the crew chief change there as we look at Allmendinger. I think Childress made some crew chief adjustments. That paid off. Looks like Matt and Todd. That looks like that may pay off. Some of these adjustments these owners are making internally seem to really be helping performance of their teams.
And
you don't see that every day.
The good thing about changing internally, they know your system. They know what system you already have in place as an organization.
But it takes an organization with depth, and particularly Roush Fenway, they had the people in place to make that change. Drew Blickensderfer is now a crew chief in the Nationwide Series for Jack Roush. So
that paid off.
Change is good.
Carl had a third yesterday with Drew in the box. So some of these guys, they made some nice changes and complimented them, their teams with them.
Here's a new view of Kevin Harvick, Darrell.
I love this, man. This is looking right back in his eyes right there. Of course, he's got that dark shield, but it just gives you an idea how hard the driver works. And the one thing I've noticed about Kevin's car from yesterday when he crashed it or when he hit the wall to now, the ride is much better. Yesterday when we were looking in the car, his head was bouncing all over the place. And today the car's much smoother, and that's a battle there. Biffle goes by Dale Jr. for 5th place.
I think as far as the Roush Fenway cars, the car that could shine today is that white 16 car, Greg Biffle. He looked the best of all of them on long runs in practice yesterday.
I've just felt like, Larry, that's the one team that Roush has right now that's performing up to expectations, I should say.
Now, Ford has a new racing engine introduced the end of last year, but Larry, I don't believe anybody's using it here, are they?
No, right now they have no plans of racing that engine, probably to the All-Star race at Charlotte Motor Speedway, a lot due to part shortage.
Jeff Gordon's walking the dog, Steve. He's 2.8 seconds up on Kurt Busch.
Mike, he's walking the dog, but he's still looking for more speed. He just told crew chief Steve Letarte, I'm a little bit loose on throttle exit, and the back end doesn't feel secure enough in turns 1 and 2.
Jeff's really, really good. I tell you, matter of fact, I don't realize sometimes how good he is at giving feedback about what his car needs, and he's usually pretty good about making a suggestion about how to fix it.
Well, and I think this is where problems are going to start to show up. We're 25 laps into this run. As we've already documented, this track is very hot, very slick. This is where you're going to start to see issues show up.
Eric
Still loose in the back.
That's Jeff Gordon. Busch on the way as Eric Almirola goes to the garage. Hit the wall in qualifying, had a tough day, and I believe they are done for the day. Matt on the second place car.
Mike, Kurt Busch reporting into his team. The balance continues to change on the Blue Deuce. He said back on lap 8, this is definitely a different handling package than we've experienced all weekend. Loose on exit big time and tight across the center. Now he's just saying the front of the car is okay, but I'm losing the back end more and more as every lap goes by.
And that's the same thing Jeff Gordon just said, and I'm pretty sure.
The only people that aren't surprised they're loose are us.
That's right.
It's hot out there. It's slick.
You try to put 850 horsepower down. Pretty hard job.
Well, despite starting 13th, 22nd, and 34th, the three Childress cars have all found each other from 15th on back. But the last lap coming off turn 4, Kevin Harvick was not the happy Harvick we know.
Push, 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 push. Loose. What do you fix first, Larry?
You fix what's pushing.
That's
Fix
right.
the end that's not sticking. I know they have found each other, but we talked about comers and goers. Burton has fallen back, but Harvick has certainly moved ahead. I think the Busch brothers have found each other. In fact, Kyle Busch at 18 just drives by his brother for a second. Dick, it looks like the 18 may be in pretty good shape here.
Yeah, he's not bad right now, but he said the car is really loose coming off turn 4, and then he added, for some reason.
Thanks, Dick. A.J. Allmendinger has made a pit stop, a result of that trip through the grass, in and back out. Jeff Gordon, your leader over Kyle Busch. He's opened it up to 4 seconds.
You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
Jeff Gordon has led the first 34 laps of this race. The most laps led from the green here is 50. Let's see if you knew Quack. The correct answer to today's question is the steel and foam energy reduction or safer barrier. Was first installed in Indianapolis, and now you see it ringing, or at least in the corners of most every NASCAR track. In fact, Bristol is increasing their safer barriers. The backstretch between turns 2 and 3 will have a barrier when we go there in a few weeks. Biggest movers led by Kevin Harvick.
You know, when you go to Bristol, you'd expect to have safer barriers everywhere, all the way around the track, infield, pits.
Front of your car, side of your car, back of your car.
Usually expect quite a bit of beating and banging when you go there.
And I think they are working in that direction. We talked about movers, Mike. There's Marcos Ambrose. He has moved up to the top 20. The 20th position, started back in 32nd. Spent the whole week on top of Mount Baldy outside of Auto Club Speedway looking for a gold mine. He has a huge passion for panning for gold and looking for gold.
I'm not sure if you should have mentioned that, Larry. Mount Baldy. I just don't know if that's a good idea or not.
And I know why you're saying that. And I'll just move on to the next subject. The top of my mountain's the same color every week.
Yeah, it's got snow on it.
Joey Logano surrendering 11th to Jimmy Johnson. Krista, Jimmy doesn't sound happy.
I know you wouldn't know it by the fact that he's moving up and gaining positions, but he said his car is evil going into the turns. The car is driving me, he says, more than I'm driving it.
He started 20th and only has 3 victories when starting 20th or worse, but one of those came here in 2007 when he started the race from 23rd.
You know, that 20 car looks pretty good, but there's Mark Martin. He and Joey are having a pretty good little battle here.
Yeah, Mark fell back when the race started. It's almost like he was just trying to sort things out and kind of get a feel for what he had with his car. But I just saw the evil that Krista was describing with that 48 car off turn 4. But Krista was telling me during commercial break, Chad is doing a little bit of a sales pitch, just telling him to sit tight, we'll get it adjusted, and I would be willing to bet he will.
Yeah, the car's not very good, and he's sitting there running 11th, so he'll be okay.
Well, Jeff Gordon has already put 10 cars a lap down, plus Eric Almirola, who was in the garage, and now Michael McDowell has gone to the garage as well, leaving us 41 cars on track.
You know, as hot and slick as this track is, we've seen the pace now that we're almost 40 laps into this race, you know, slow down by second and a half, second and 3/4, and we're pushing toward about 12 to 14 laps before green flag pit stops. When there's that much fall off, I think we'll see a very small window of laps that everybody hits pit road if we indeed get to those green flag stops. You can't afford to give up that kind of time.
In practice, we were seeing cars consistently run in the 29-second bracket. The last lap for the 24 car, 31:27.
Trouble for Bobby Labonte. The smell of oil on the back straightaway, and he has eased his Chevrolet.
I smelled grease about 2 laps ago.
Down to the track apron and headed toward pit road. We stay green.
Rear end. Sounds like a gear problem.
If you can smell it like that, that's normally what it is.
So we're smelling racing.
Travis Kvapil goes a lap down. Long John Silver car. Next week, one of NASCAR's fastest tracks. Cobalt Tools 500 at Atlanta, noon on Fox.
Hey, you take a 1.5 mile racetrack, you put Daytona type banking in it, that's what you get right there.
Montoya and Kenseth fighting for 9th here. Not much of a fight.
No, that's the 17 car is really good. He's been slowly marching his way up through the field, and there's his teammate. All the Roush cars right now look pretty sporty.
That'll be for 4th place, past pole sitter Kurt Busch. And shouldn't be too long. We'll see who starts the march onto pit road for fuel and tires.
One thing I just noticed, Larry, is that we've panned by that 2 car. That left front wheel is covered up with brake dust.
Well, and
a lot of brake.
The worse your car drives, the more brake you're going to use. And we've seen that at the 1.5 mile racetracks a lot since we've been racing this car.
Yeah, 43 laps in, that's a lot of dust.
Matt, how about our pole sitter?
And Mike, they're already formulating their game plan for their first stop, scheduled to be around lap 50 here on pit road. They've got the very first pit stall, which is right down in turn 1. Air pressure change is what they're looking at right now. Also talking about a couple other changes to try to get the balance a little more toward what he needs. Just way too tight and free on exit, big time.
Yeah, you can see he cannot get off the corner at all. You can see it very tail happy on the exit. That just kills the straightaway speed.
1 caution flag early for Kevin Conway's spin in turn 2 at lap 3. Otherwise green all the way to what should be the first round of pit stops.
Well, Jeff Gordon, he's going to put some cars a lap down here if we don't something doesn't happen pretty soon. Good cars, I'm talking.
27 cars on the lead lap. We'll take a quick.
Got one in the wall.
Car in the wall, turn 2. And that'll be Mike Bliss.
Pretty good lick there.
Caution is out for the 2nd time today. Mike Bliss is okay, but that Tommy Baldwin car has hit it pretty hard.
And Mike had a great run last week at Auto Club Speedway. The best finish and best qualifying effort Tommy Baldwin Racing has had.
We'll take a look at this, but it wouldn't surprise me to see something happen to the right front tire because the car just looked like it shot up the hill.
He was running 32nd, 1 lap down. Watch the pink car.
Shouldn't be hard to find.
See Sam Hornish there lined up for the free pass. He was the 77 was the first car 1 lap down. He had just been lapped by Jeff Gordon.
And that's surprising because Sam qualified well, he practiced well, and here already finds himself a lap down.
But you were right, Darrell. That caution came just right for some guys like Denny Hamlin, Casey Kane, Martin Truex Jr. They were right on the verge of going a lap down.
Jeff was after him.
Sprint brings you an inside look at what's happening now inside the Sprint Cup Series. Biggest mover so far, up 17 positions, Kevin Harvick. Check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile at sprint.com/speed. Pit road's open, and it's going to be a busy place. Dick Berggren.
Well, Kyle Busch is going to pit in the 2nd position, Mike. They really took some gambles this morning, changed some springs just before the start of the race, trying to figure out what the weather was going to do to their race car. Right behind him, the 16 of Greg Biffle. He had been running in the 3rd position. Both cars running a bit loose. Steve.
Well, Dick, Jeff Gordon's going to get a small track bar adjustment. He wants to feel that rear end of the track. A little more security for Jeff Gordon. 4 tires. Matt?
And the pole sitter Kurt Busch is in. They're going to go with a track bar adjustment. You can see the wrench in the back window. About a round also, Steve Eddington called for an air pressure change on both right side tires to try to get the car a little more back to the balance that they had expected. He's away.
One thing that'll be consistent is that right there. 4 tires for everybody.
Pretty crazy on pit road, too.
Yes, it was.
Second caution of the day comes at lap 47 in Las Vegas. Welcome back to Las Vegas. Jeff Gordon has led every one of 49 laps. One more circuit. He'll tie the record for the most laps led from the opening green. Now, it's hot and sunny today, something it hasn't been all week. Here's Jimmy Johnson exiting his pit.
Watch this.
Oops. And Matt Kenseth told his crew after this happened.
I couldn't get out of there. I don't know if our stall's different than anybody else's, but pretty slick.
Good job. Good job, guys.
And it's not. It's hot. It's slick. And Dick Bergman was telling us during the break that these are concrete pit stalls, and they're smooth concrete. And I know a lot of the teams, you can't use chemicals, but you can take things like Coca-Cola and put it on the pits for traction for the crew members and trying to also create traction for the car leaving.
David Gilliland too fast on pit road, and Paul Menard left the pit missing a lug nut, so they both came back in for penalty stops. You saw Mike Bliss's car towed off of the turn 2 banking and into the garage. Now the wave around car will be A.J. Allmendinger. He chose not to pit, so he was in front of Jeff Gordon but behind the pace car, so he has the election of not stopping in his pit but holding that position, and with 1 to go get waved around to get his lap back.
Yeah, it pitted at lap 27. You just saw one of Kurt Busch's crew members putting soft drink down on the pits for traction.
It's the real thing.
That's it.
The talent competition so wild it could only happen trackside is Fast Track to Fame. Juggling chainsaws? America's most unique performers cut loose each week for their chance of stardom. Catch Fast Track to Fame premiering tomorrow only on Speed. Check local listings for the start time in your area. We are 50 laps in to the Shelby American, a 400-mile race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Jeff Gordon from the outside pole in his Hendrick Chevrolet has led every lap. Kurt Busch started on the pole for Roger Penske, but he now lines up 5th after the first round of pit stops of the day. That came during a caution flag for Mike Bliss's crash at turn 2.
Now, that pit stop and getting the cars adjusted for the track conditions, we should see these cars running much closer together than what we saw in the start of the race.
This race is named for Carroll Shelby, whose car modifying and building factory is right outside turn number 1 here. Last year we got to sit down and talk with old Shell, and this year he invited me to go for a ride in his newest creation.
Thanks for everything you did. How are you? I'm good. You have got to drive this car. What'd you think? It's awesome.
Haven't seen you since
Carol,
Jackson.
I know, since last month. We'll be back in a minute. There is a speed limit on pit road. Yeah, I think we just broke it. Give me 4 tires, Sunoco race fuel. We're going again. Oh, Carol, what a treat.
Thank you again.
What a great treat.
Always good to be with you.
Carroll turned 87 last month, and he's still dreaming up new things, building new cars. They revived the most famous performance icon name of the 60s, the GT350. You order a brand new 2011 Mustang GT from your Ford dealer. They send it to Shelby, who massage it and put a whole lot of Ford racing parts underneath, and you end up with this white with blue striped, or vice versa, 500 horsepower missile.
Pretty slick piece.
It goes.
It makes a lot of noise too. They were giving pace car rides this morning. Brett Bodine was. That thing sounded like a race car going around.
You know, one thing that's different with the double file restarts versus when we used to have single file restarts, you used to could pass to the right before you got to the start finish line once the green flag is displayed. Now you have to stay in line until you get to the start finish line. NASCAR is already warning these drivers, you have to do that. You have to stay in line until you get to the start finish line.
Yeah, when you got a big wide front straightaway D shape like this, it's real tempting to hop on that outside.
Double file restart, 152,000 fans. Let's crank it up. Has waved. Greg Biffle had taken the lead. Kyle Busch second. Kurt Busch third. Jeff Gordon had fallen to fourth on that restart. So Gordon ties the record for consecutive laps led from the start of the race. And this one is a little different. They dropped the green flag or waved the green flag to restart the race. However, the drivers are controlled these days as much by the green and yellow flag as by the caution lights all the way around the racetrack. And we're told the caution lights failed to extinguish when the track went green.
Only guy that'll like that is the guy that was next in line for the free pass.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by Pennzoil, is sponsored by Budweiser, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, clean finish. Budweiser, it's what we do.
Las Vegas long the home of off-road racing, like the Mint 400. There's an early safer barrier in use. Another Mears gang has to be out there in the lead somewhere. They used to start the Mint 400 from a ramp right in front of Binion's Mint, one of the downtown casinos here in Las Vegas.
I thought that was just a big sand trap.
Well, that too. Krista.
Well, earlier I told you that Jimmy Johnson thought his car was a little bit evil. Well, after the adjustments, he was talking to crew chief Chad Knaus. He's not used to being this uncomfortable. Here's what he had to say.
The feeling I've had is unlike anything I've felt since we've been here. Maybe this will fix it. If not, I'm not sure what else is going on in the back to make it feel funky like that.
Nothing. I think it was just, a lot of traffic and thicker tires there and stuff to get started. I think you're warmed up there right rear. I think it'll be better, a lot better now that you're up closer to the front for sure, and then with this wedge adjustment.
Getting ready to go back to green. Greg Biffle is the leader. Jeff Gordon was second at the last scoring loop passed before the caution flag waved. That's how they line up with the Busch brothers in row 2, two of the Roush Fenway cars, Edwards and Kenseth. Row 3, then Earnhardt, Johnson, Newman, and Logano, the top 10, as we go back to green to start lap 57.
Second place guy is not supposed to beat the leader back across the start finish line. The leader's supposed to be the first one to hit the line. That was a dead heat right there.
Boy, I'm going to tell you who got a run off turn 2. Kyle Busch in that 18 car just turned down under Biffle in that 16.
Kyle's been sitting back there in about 3rd or 4th place up till that caution came out. I think you're going to see a different race once now that these cars have been in the pits and a little work done on them.
A little bit of home track smack with that move as Kyle and Kurt Busch together. The native Las Vegans go to the inside trying to get to the front.
Guys are really on it. When you're up on the outside, you got to be really careful because there's a fine line there. You get up there a little too high getting that loose stuff and you're going to hit the wall.
Meanwhile, Jeff Gordon once again shows his dominance. He is moving away smartly from car in the wall off turn 4. Robbie Gordon hit it, continues. Elliott Sadler just behind him.
Yeah, he hit it real hard, Mike. That whole right side's caved in. That's a hard lick on one of these cars.
Gordon in the number 7 has had an abysmal week.
He has. They missed about half of practice. They didn't even get their car through inspection to be able to qualify. He was on the 5-minute clock. Of course, he was locked into the show because of the top 35. Here's a car that keeps moving to the front, though, is Matt Kenseth in that 17 car. He just drives by Kurt Busch. That moves him into the 4th position.
Travis Kvapil was the free pass car on that last caution. NASCAR observers say the track is clear. We continue under green.
Todd Parrott, the new crew chief on that 17 car. Matt Kenseth said what a cheerleader he is. Boy, had the guys all pumped up.
Carl Edwards in the 99. Proud Papa running in 7th place, Matt.
working the bottom down in 3 and 4, trying to get Jack Roush his 400th career win as an owner. Now, listen to the different drivers. A lot of guys are really outside the ballpark where they want to be handling-wise. But Carl, he says he's been right on the fence. And the 2 is in the wall.
Yeah, I don't know about Carl being on the fence, but Kurt Busch all but got up there in 1 and 2.
Hang on to it. The right rear is on banana field.
Watch the deuce.
I think he just drives down here a little hot. Thing takes off with him. You see the back end start to move. Up she goes.
Well, did he get the wall, Darrell?
Don't believe he did.
No.
He just was flirting with it.
He missed a very good chance of getting it.
That all started on corner entry. The thing got over on the right front a little bit, looked like, and just started walking up the hill. Do a little turkey walk.
So Busch is okay as the front dozen cars have now gone single file. Jeff Gordon 1.1 ahead of Greg Biffle. Let's march you back to 8th place and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Steve.
Mike Jr.'s been in the top 10 the whole race, but he just told Lance McGrew, I need to be able to turn better than this. I need more air on the nose. It feels like it's in yaw.
And of course, what you have to be careful here is you can't unhook one end to fix another end. You know, if your car is loose, you can't start getting it to push to try to fix that problem. It's like walking a tightrope.
Yeah, most likely it is in yaw because of the way they cock the rear end housings in these cars. They actually go down the racetrack sideways, so it's probably over exaggerating for him.
In the number 1, carrying new colors this week, Jamie McMurray was honored by the state of Missouri this week, and he started deep in the field, 24th. He has now climbed up to 11th, Matt.
And Mike, the biggest concern for Jamie, just trying to stay ahead of this racetrack as it continues to change for so many different drivers, asking Kevin Bonomanian and his spotter what lines the fast cars are running. You can see he's running about a lane up from the bottom, loose in, cut across the middle, but not bad on corner exit. Forward bite, not as bad an issue as what others are complaining about.
Jamie Mack was telling us that when they went to the State House this past week, that Johnny Morrison said, "Can we drive this race car to the uptown?" So they put a car cover in the right side. Johnny Morse hopped in, and he and Jamie drove the car up to the State House
from the airport to the state capitol. Yeah. Pretty cool.
You know, I'm glad though Matt talked about the line that Jamie's running, because what I had noticed in 3 and 4, including our leader Jeff Gordon, most people are running the bottom. Jamie is up about a lane or 2. In 3 and 4, you're going to see a lot of the lead cars, the lead lap cars, and the guys in front running the top like McMurray's doing at both ends.
Jimmy Johnson.
Hello, boy.
Guess who that is? That was Todd Parrott. His man is coming to the front in a big way.
Jimmy Johnson now up to 4th after that pass of Kyle Busch.
And Jimmy has definitely started moving his car around, especially down in turn 3 and 4. I saw him high the last 2 or 3 times.
And Matt Kenseth is your new 2nd place car, Krista.
And Mike, just a few laps ago, he said, I don't know the last time I could see the leader, let alone go up there and pass him. All he said to his crew chief, Todd Parrott, thank you.
And Matt Kenseth is the type of guy, if he can see the leader, I think he'll eventually become the leader.
But you know why he's excited and why he's thanking his crew chief? Because he made the decision to make the crew chief change.
Jeff Gordon, your leader. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. 73 laps completed in Las Vegas. Jeff Gordon's led 68 of them. 11 times he has led the first 50 laps in a race. 3 of those resulted in victories, once at Dover and twice at Martinsville. We've had 3 caution flags for a total of 12 laps. And in the garage area, Mike Bliss, Bobby Labonte, Michael McDowell, and Eric Almirola.
Those first 3 cars, though, the 24, 17, and 48, their lap times are mirroring each other's. 85 to an 86, somewhere along in there every lap.
But Steve, nobody's catching Jeff Gordon.
Copy.
Steve?
And Mike, listening to Jeff Gordon, he just got off the radio with Steve Letarte. He said the car's good right now, but you guys have talked about changing track conditions. He says now the car is a little bit tight getting in the corners.
One thing we have to keep up with Jeff Gordon is, think about this. How many times halfway through the race, he runs good, leads a race like this, halfway through something happens. to the car, and all of a sudden he can't get out of his own way.
Well, and what has happened to him before, he's been up in clean air, leading this race a lot. We see him sometimes get in trouble back in traffic. Car drives totally different. Talked about McMurray a while ago, started back in the 24th position. He's working on trying to crack the top 10 as he pulls up to Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 88 car. That would be a battle for 10th we're looking at.
Those first three cars, let's see lap times. 30.90 on Gordon, 30.93 on Kansas, 30.92 on Jimmy Johnson. They're just same lap per lap.
Look at McMurray. That number one just likes the high side, no matter who drives it here. Martin Truex piloted that car the last few seasons. Always like to run up high here, that Michael Waltrip groove we used to call it. And maybe now it'll be the Jamie Mack lane.
Well, and I think Jamie is just so determined to prove to the racing world, even though he's enjoying that Daytona 500 win, that, you know what, I can also win at other racetracks, not just restrictor plate tracks.
Montoya with Ryan Newman. They're battling for 12th. They're about 13 seconds back of the leader.
One thing that we've laughed about or joked about almost all weekend long was nobody wanted to run the high line. They were all kind of hanging around the bottom on the white line around the bottom. But boy, today we're starting to see some cats venture right on up there next to the safer barrier.
You know what, Mike, you talked about Ryan Newman, asked me about Stuart Haas. You know, certainly they want to win a race. They still have not won a race since Ryan moved over there. The biggest thing they're looking for is the checkered flag, period. 2 DNFs in the first 2 races of 2010. Outside the top 35 right now.
So when you have a couple of bad races like that, all of a sudden you have to quit trying to win, Larry. You just got to start trying to finish and get some points, get back in the points, so so you don't fall so far behind you have no chance of making the chase.
Darrell, what's that old saying? Well, it's not an old saying, but it is your saying. Driver and his wife have a child, have their first child. Driver goes on and wins the next race.
It's happened a number of times. It happened to me. We were talking to Jeff Fuller, the Northeast guy.
Right.
It happened to him. I just go through the years. I've heard a driver say, "Yeah, my wife gave birth to our child this weekend, and I'm in Victory Circle today." So, like I always said, I guess I didn't have enough kids.
So the question is, Matt, can it happen to Carl today?
Well, if you look at the way that car is running, pretty stout so far, running 5th. Carl's very descriptive about how his race car is and the balance issue, which is free. Also very descriptive about racing against the guy who's right behind him in his mirror, the 18 of Kyle Busch.
I should rephrase
Yeah, if you're
that.
anywhere next to his spotter, Jason, I mean, if that's how we're going to race next time I pull up to him, I guess I should just pawn him out of the way. He's a total idiot.
And of course, his coach on top of the box, Bob Osborne, made a few comments that calmed him right down. And Larry Mack, I know you've been in that position many times.
Well, there's no question. That's what you have to do. Yeah, you have to work with him on what the car's doing, but this early in the race, you got to calm him down as far as trying to get back at somebody.
There isn't a lap goes by that some driver doesn't think some other driver is an idiot. And the chance is, Darrell, toward the end of the race, that idiot could become your best friend out there. You just don't know.
You don't know. And it doesn't take much when it's hot like it is today and the track's slick and the car's moving around. You're already aggravated. And all another driver does is just kind of irritate you a little bit, and you'll hit that talk back button just constantly.
Kyle Busch now in 6th. Dick Berggren.
Yeah, he's a guy that used to be aggravated on the radio constantly, but Kyle Busch has learned to calm down, that he'll have better results by doing exactly that. He had recently called to his spotter and asked where he was getting beaten. The spotter, Jeff Dickerson, said, getting beaten on the exit. Busch said, I just don't know what makes me slow. This is a guy in 6th spot.
We talked to Kyle in the pre-race. You guys did it, and there's no question there's a little bit of frustration with Kyle right now. He just doesn't feel like they've got a winning car. He said we've got an 8th place car, not a winning car.
Matt Kenseth is slowly eating into Jeff Gordon's lead. It stands at 1.1 seconds. Gordon, the leader.
Congratulations on 10 years. 10 years? Congratulations, Fox, 10 years. Y'all done a great job. Thank you for all your incredible coverage.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by Pennzoil, is sponsored by AT&T, a better 3G experience. By Napa, Napa know-how. And by FedEx. We understand you need reliable shipping options. FedEx. NASCAR and Fox live here in Las Vegas, and under caution, time for an AT&T race break. Our fourth caution, and it was Sam Hornish Jr., your long shot pick for the race. And Jeff, that trouble, turn 4.
Well, we've seen a lot of cars come up off this corner and get sideways. Here's Sam Hornish, late exit to turn 4. Car kicks out from underneath him. But again, the fact we got that little bit of grass right there, he's able to slide down around through there. And let's go down to pit road because we got pit stops with Krista.
Well, unlike at the start of the race, Jimmy Johnson is now pretty happy with his car. Just a small adjustment for the 48, the 17 of Matt Kenseth, looking for a little bit more front grip. Steve?
Chris and Jeff Gordon said the rear grip is better, but I need a little bit more help turning, so they're going to take a little air out of the right front tire, Matt.
And Joe Karasinski already made the wedge adjustment on the left side of Carl Edgerton. It's a little free, but not bad on the 99.
And Chris, I'm watching this race off of pit road. Let's take a quick look at Jeff Gordon. He loses some positions, but more importantly, look what happened to Jimmy Johnson. 16.2 on that pit stop. That's not normal for the 48.
Only 2 leaders in the race so far. Jeff Gordon leading 80-plus laps. Speaking of Jimmy Johnson, he's one of the drivers and his crew handling the hot slick track that we've heard a lot about. What other drivers do you think handle this better? What kind of adjustments do others need to make?
Well, the drivers, I mean, they're kind of like along for the ride, but what you really need is a good crew chief to help that driver. I like the fact that, you know, Chad Knaus is one of the best on pit road. Not to say Steve Letarte can't, but I like Darian Grubb and even guys like Steve Addington. They do a great job to complement their drivers.
Jimmy Johnson, you talked about what happened. Is this a lug nut comes out or is dropped here?
Well, we're watching right here. It looks like a pretty decent exchange to the right side. No, we had a lug nut come off right there on the right front. He had to stay a little bit longer, and that disrupted the flow. That cost him that additional, 2.5 seconds.
And compare it to Matt Kenseth, the 17 car, checking the times, and the
again
gold standard
on our gold standard right there. Look at the right side. But what it affected from the time from the right to the left, all of a sudden it slowed him down almost 2 seconds, and it cost him on his total.
Speaking of pit crews, be sure to cast your vote all season long for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year. The standings from last week, you can keep an eye on those. And from your AT&T phone, text the car number of the pit crew you think is the best each race to 2258. Delivered by AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. We'll continue live from Las Vegas in just a moment.
Ready for the restart. Scott Speed was the free pass car. Elliott Sadler took the wave around, and Bobby Labonte is back on track after a rear end replacement. Matt Kenseth leads Carl Edwards, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, and Greg Biffle as we crank it up on the restart at lap 92. Turn 3, Montoya in the fence along with Jamie McMurray.
Took his teammate. That's teammates right there. In Kurt Busch, the 2 car was heavily involved.
That'll put us back under caution at lap 94. Right front
Going
damage
up really bad
for McMurray. That's his assessment of it. And worse for Montoya.
So what happens here getting down the corner? They're all bunched up heading into turn 3.
Left side of your screen.
Just a little contact there. McMurray into the side of the 42 car. Montoya.
It's almost like McMurray's car walked up just a little bit, maybe. It's almost like maybe Montoya came down, McMurray maybe went up just a little bit. Didn't take much.
That's what happened right there. The guy on the outside's got to make the corner. Yep, little contact.
And Kurt Busch, the pole sitter, with nowhere to go. Matt, what they say on the radio?
Jamie Mack just told Bono, he said, "My fault, I apologize. I went to turn down, the car got loose."
Yep.
And then you can't turn the wheel.
He was sort of in that spot where the air on the side of the car in front of you just makes your car get a little bit loose.
You know, these cars are kind of evil sometimes on low air pressure. They'll be a little bit on the free side or the loose side.
Fifth caution of the day, Montoya, McMurray, and pole sitter Kurt Busch get together.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing, presented by Pennzoil, is sponsored by Chevy. Every model is backed by a 5-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. By Aflac. Aflac is insurance for daily living. Get to know Quack at noquack.com. And by Amp Energy. Go to ampupthe88.com this Wednesday, March 3rd, to chat live with the 88 team engineer. We're live in Atlanta. I'm feeling it, boys.
Racing in Atlanta is like a rubber band.
Atlanta's an animal all to itself.
You ready for some drama?
Oh, boy.
Oh, it's on.
Let's crank it up.
This is the hottest show on TV right here. You want evil? That's evil.
Atlanta next Sunday, noon Eastern time with NASCAR on Fox. Another mile and a half, more banking, more speed, more action. First big one of the day, Jamie McMurray and Juan Pablo Montoya both aim for the same spot in the corner, and they collect pole sitter Kurt Busch. Look like everybody's going to be able to continue with damage.
Yeah, Kurt Busch has been in the pits and doing quite a bit of work on that right front. I think might be able to get it good enough to race.
So we get ready for the restart with Matt Kenseth, your leader, Jeff Gordon, Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart, and Greg Biffle, the front five. Matt?
Bono, you sent Gary Putnam and the guys over the wall. How much damage did you have to fix?
Well, I haven't really got to talk to him too much yet, but it definitely tore up a little bit. The last thing you want to do is wreck, especially with a great teammate like Juan and Brian. So tough circumstances today, but you know, we're going to make the best out of it today.
A lot of bear bound they were working on that side. Mike?
Thanks, Matt. The green flag will wave to begin lap 98. 97 complete this time by out of 267 laps. Matt Kenseth brings him across, but Jeff Gordon timed that restart perfectly.
Matt spun the tires just enough to give Jeff a little bit of a jump, but I think Matt's going to fight back here on the outside.
They restart without Kurt Busch, whose car is still under repair in the pit lane.
Guys, I'm going to tell you who's becoming a player here. We talked about him earlier, like in hot slick tracks. It's Tony Stewart in that 14 car. He's moved into the top 5. He's in 4th right now.
For the lead, side by side. Gordon on the outside, Kenseth on the inside with his teammate Carl Edwards behind him.
17 car Kenseth is strong down in the bottom of that racetrack. Man, he got underneath Jeff Gordon and powered up out of 2 or 4.
It's almost like Gordon's maybe a little stronger on the high side through 1 and 2. Kenseth a little better down in 3 and 4.
I think when you run low in 1 and 2, you cross those bumps, upsets the car just a little bit. Here's where Matt's really strong. When he gets back in it right here, he's been really pull up underneath Jeff Gordon.
Gordon's car a little loose in the transition there.
That's what happens when you get the nose of that inside car right along your rear quarter panel. Kind of loosens you up. That's what happened to the 1 car.
Kurt Busch is back in the race. The pole sitter has lost 3 laps due to crash damage. As Gordon hangs tough on the outside and gets a good run off turn 2.
When you're down on the bottom like Matt is, Mike, you need the whole racetrack. You need to be able to come off and coast, let the car go all the way out to the wall. When somebody's out there, it hinders you just a little bit.
You know, as I watch those 2 guys racing side by side, Gordon and Kenseth, they have a little history here. 2008, they wrecked with 5 to go racing for 3rd. They also had history at Bristol and Chicagoland. They had a lot of history with each other.
I bet they don't even remember that, Larry.
But I bet you they could.
Until now.
Juan Pablo Montoya has been released from the care center. Dick Berggren.
Well, Juan Montoya is taking a look at what is left of the back end of his race car. Your teammate Jamie McMurray has apologized for the incident. How bad is the car? Could you get it back out?
Get it back out, you know. I know he's trying to prove a point to show everybody he can drive a race car, but it really ruined our days. You know, this for the chase, it doesn't help. You know, we had a problem last week with the motor, and this week it's painful. I don't know. He nearly run me into the fence out of 2 as well, and going to 3, and then plain simple just wrecked us. So I don't know. not doing himself too many favors.
Indeed. Juan Montoya, thank you.
Let me correct Dick, because Montoya drove his car back to the garage. He did not have to take the mandatory trip to the care center as if he had gotten out of that car at turn 3.
All I know is I believe there's a team meeting coming
Yeah.
at Ganassi, Earnhardt Ganassi Racing.
That's his teammate he's talking about. So what if that wasn't his teammate and that happened?
Well, this battle right here is starting to shape up for third place. You see Biffle out there in the 16 car, Jimmy Johnson. He keeps working the high side of the racetrack. And a guy we've not talked about, Jeff Burton in that 31 car, he's now working on the top 5.
Jeff Burton, the best of the Childress cars right now.
I've been watching that 31 car, and he had just been slowly climbing up through there. Started back in the 22nd position, and there you see it. He'll just take that position away from the 99. Krista, it looks like the more we get into this race, the better that 31 car is.
Yeah, just slow and steady for the veteran driver. They started out a little bit tight in the middle, Larry Mack, when on the last stop, Jeff told his crew chief, Todd Barrier, he just needed some more overall grip.
Thanks, Krista. Carl Edwards backing up just a bit. He was passed by Burton, and now Krista, Tony Stewart steams past the 99, or excuse me, Steve, into 6th place.
Well, Mike, first things first, his pit crew ripped off a great stop on their last pit stop. The other thing, though, Tony Stewart, one of the drivers we're starting to hear say the track is starting to rubber up. This track is starting to have more grip. He's taking advantage of it.
I agree, Steve. The track is definitely blacker than it was when we started this race.
Interesting thing. Just think about this. Those first, 9 out of 10 cars, 3 car owners, Childress, Roush, and Hendrick.
And that 9th place car is a Joe Gibbs machine. Just in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr. is Kyle Busch. Here's Dick.
Kyle has a pair of problems, Mike. One of them is he's still not getting out of his pit. They've tried soaking that pit with cola. They've tried to clean it off, re-soaked it again. He still can't get out of the pit on pit stops, and he thinks his power steering is beginning to go away.
Pretty early in the race to think about power steering going away and being able to drive the rest of the race without it.
A couple of drivers that we expected a better day from, and one of those is Casey Kane. He rolled around in the 21st through 25th spot for quite a while toward the tail end of the lead lap, and now that Bud car's gone one down.
But he's definitely getting better. He's actually on the lead lap, Mike. Yes. But when that caution came out on lap 45, we were watching him. He was just about to go a lap down. So I think these cautions, they've possibly been his best friend, Matt.
The lights are on, but I didn't hear him say caution. They're not waving them.
Absolutely. Yeah, something going on.
The caution lights came on without being triggered by NASCAR. So now the call has come down from the tower to wave the caution flag. See, drivers only see the flag when they're on the front straightaway, but the caution lights are all the way around the racetrack, and NASCAR has told the drivers in the drivers meetings every week that the caution lights control. You see the caution lights slow down, and so we don't know what is triggering the light or what caused it to not go off during an earlier restart.
Yeah, I saw the caution lights come on. I looked down the flagman, and it's still green flag, and the guys are still racing. So something's going on here with the electronics.
All right, let's go back to Matt on Casey Kane, who is a lead lap car. He's in 16th place, Matt.
Much like the caution lights, Mike, it's been a work in progress for the 9 of Casey Kane. Started out the day really loose, almost wrecking loose. They've taken big swings, wedge, and track bar, air pressure, even worked on the shocks on several different stops. The car finally getting closer, but also one thing that's changed too, and Steve talked about it, the track's rubbering up. We've also got a lot of cloud cover, helping with some more grip here at Las Vegas.
Travis Kvapil will get the free pass on this caution. Today is a big anniversary in NASCAR, February 28th. 50 years ago today, Richard Petty won his first of 200 races. He beat Rex White at the old Charlotte Fairgrounds to win it. Pit road's open, Krista.
Matt Kenseth said, Todd, I hate to say it, but we are just about right. Just a little bit loose for the 17. Meanwhile, the 48 said he's free, but it's not a bad free. Steve.
Krista, they might just do fuel only here on the 24 car. Oh, he has to back up. He overshoots his pits, but gas only for Jeff Gordon after overshooting pit road.
I believe Jeff Gordon's teammate, Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus at 48, they decided to do the same thing, fuel only. In fact, we see a lot of them there, fuel only.
That's all they did, is stuck a little fuel in these things.
Show you what happened to Jeff Gordon coming in here, trying to get to a stop. Whoa.
But you love the fact that NASCAR official was right there letting Steve Letarte know you're outside your box. As long as you push it back, good to go.
Uh-oh, traffic jam. Greg Biffle can't get out. Allmendinger coming in.
Four, three, two, one. Leave on me. Hold up, hold up, hold up. Back it up, back it up, back it up, back it up. Hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. All right, start to go, 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 go. Outside, outside. 14's coming. Race it. Race the 14. There. My bad. Damn it.
Well, that is the only mistake that Jeff Gordon has made today. Just locking up the brake and slightly overshooting his pit. That's why right now his Chevrolet lines up third instead of first, where it's been all day.
Crew chief says got the perfect strategy. Then the driver slides through the pit box.
The leader is Scott Speed. Where have we seen this strategy before?
Man.
He did not pit.
He's actually led laps in the first two races. He led laps in the Daytona 500, led laps late in the race last week at Auto Club Speedway.
Now, he got the free pass when Sam Hornish spun back at lap 89, and he is now the leader.
You know, going back to that 24 car situation, Steve Letarte had to be on his game right there, because if they have fueled that car before they put it back in the box, it'd have been a penalty. That's pitting out of the box. So they really had to be on their game right there.
And one thing I'm anxious to see here how the 82 does, because one thing I noticed, Jeff Gordon gets out front, he pulls away. The 17 car got out front, he pulled away. See if this 82 car could get out front and pull away. That would tell you about the aero on these cars.
Steve?
And Mike, just to add to what Larry McReynolds just said, Jeff Gordon also told those guys, great job. That could have been a lot worse than it was. Thanks for taking care of me.
Yeah, he could be fighting to get a lap back right now.
We're 112 laps complete, 155 to go here in the desert. Scott Speed is the surprise leader during this caution. Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon second and third. For Hendrick Motorsports, Tony Stewart fourth. Matt Kenseth fifth, the Roush Fenway. Jeff Burton for Richard Childress. Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick, Mark Martin, and Kyle Busch are the top 10. We've had 6 caution flags, 2 of them for malfunctions with the caution lighting system here. And as far as the hometown boys, Kyle Busch, who was 1 here recently, he is 10th. His brother Kurt is 3 laps down after getting caught up in the McMurray-Montoya crash. Kurt's average finish here when he wins the pole, as he did this week, 18th. He's only won once when starting from pole position.
One thing I noticed, if you look at the top 10, look where the guys started that are running in the top 10. Harvick started in 34th, Burton in 22nd, Speed 23rd, Jimmy Johnson 20th. Those guys have done a nice job of getting near the front. What do you say, boys? I like to watch them shift those gears and hear the engines go up to about 9,500. How about you, Larry?
Sounds like a great plan to me.
Scott Speed did not stay at the front for long.
No.
Jeff Gordon, even after that just fuel only stop, has gone back to where he's been most all day, right out front.
But I think Scott Speed was Jeff Gordon's best friend. Of course, remember, Jeff restarted this race back in 4th, and now he's took the lead.
Larry, you know you're having a good day when you can have a problem in the pits like the 24 just had and come back and jump out there and get the lead back. Y'all wanted to see if that 82 could stay up there, but stay up
second
there
place battle, Kenseth, Johnson side by side into turn 1. Jimmy Johnson prevails for the moment. Kenseth comes back on the outside. And he's going to beat Johnson down the straightaway for second. Now, Greg Biffle was up here with this crowd fighting for the lead. He was fourth at the caution flag, but Biffle made 2 pit stops and takes this restart way back in 25th.
Boy, this is a gaggle of cars right here. David Rudeman, you see Martin Truex Jr. riding with here in the 56 car. This is a battle back in the area of 13th, 14th, 15th.
So Greg Biffle has gained just 2 spots, Dick, since that restart. He's mired deep in the pack.
Yeah, and the real problem, Mike, was that Biffle was exiting the pits as A.J. Allmendinger was trying to enter his pit right in front of Biffle. They had warned Biffle that that might happen, and indeed it did. There was a near collision here on pit road. The collision didn't happen, but Biffle had to back up. That put him way back in the serial order of things, so they decided why not bring the car back onto pit road and put left side tires on. They had only changed the rights. But that round of pit stops was a disaster for Greg Biffle, who had run up front all day.
One thing I'm noticing on the 24 car, Larry, he's blazingly fast for about 5 laps. And he's able to get that lead he gets on the second place car. We see right there that gap. Now, as they run a few laps, you'll see the 17 car back here at Kenseth and the 48, they will start to ease back up on the back of Jeff Gordon. Like Gordon's car is really good on a short run. I don't know how it's going to hold up on the long run.
Yeah, I think the best car on the long run is the car we're looking at right there. That 17 car, Matt Kenseth. No question. We saw it a few runs ago when we almost went through a complete set of green flag pit stops. We got close to them. But I think that 48 car is out to prove me that he's got the best car on the long run. Jimmy Johnson, he keeps working that rear bumper of Kenseth in that 17.
You give Chad a few caution flags and get the old magic wand out and wave it over that baby, and they'll be up at the front like they are now.
How about that second place car, Krista?
Well, you guys just mentioned the longer run, and that is exactly what the 17 is planning for. Back on that pit stop on lap 89, Matt said, I need more front grip, and I need it for the longer run.
Well, remember in our FedEx Understanding the Race, we see an average of a longest green run around 65 laps. We've not been there yet, but we normally see a cycle of green flag pit stops here in this race.
Scott Speed trying to hang on to a top 15 spot here, but he's going backwards after not making a pit stop and picking up the lead on this last caution flag.
But he's done a really good job, Mike. I mean, he's sitting there and he's not really creating a problem. He's staying on the bottom of the racetrack. Kids learned a lot over the last year.
Carl Edwards, David Rudeman coming up on him. Speed hanging on to 12th place. Darrell, the only way you're going to get experience running up front is get your car out front, and that's what they did for him.
Well, I like the gambles they've been taking to get him up there, to give him some of that experience. Man, you smell the lead and what it feels like to be in front of all these other cars. You'll work hard to get it back.
You know, one thing I'm seeing, guys, and I think it's because a little bit of a cloud covering, just shortly after that last restart, we're seeing some of our fastest laps of the race. In fact, Jimmy Johnson, a lap ago, just ran his fastest lap. And I think the track, as they reported a while ago, is just getting some grip a little bit because of the cloud covering.
So we started in bright sunlight, and there's more of that to come. But right now, the entire track is shaded. Closing in on halfway in the Shelby American at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by Pennzoil, is sponsored by Sprint, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series.
The Busch brothers, Kurt and Kyle, began their careers racing Legends cars, or dwarf cars, at the Bull Ring here at Las Vegas. Right now, Kyle on the right is in 5th place. Kurt started on the pole but got caught up in somebody else's crash, and he is 3 laps down in 36th. Jeff Gordon is your leader, but Jimmy Johnson is closing. He's cut that lead down to half a second with Matt Kenseth 3rd, Jeff Burton, and Kevin Harvick.
Been watching Dale Jr. just a little bit, Larry, Mike, and he really he's been running a really high line, and he's been making good time just in the last few laps. I think he must be experimenting a little bit. He was right on the back bumper of the 9 car, and then he decided to try it on the bottom a lap or two, and it's cost him a little track position here. But heard some really positive comments out of Dale Jr. Here just on his radio. Steve, what did you hear?
Yeah, DW, they had a great run at Daytona, then had that axle problem last week. They're right outside the top 10 now, but Dale Jr. is very optimistic with how they're running today.
Just considering by these first laps, we definitely have improved the team quite a bit. We're pretty close. We've still got a little ways to go, but I'm real happy with how it's going today. I can see right now, we just got this other level we need to hit. We keep trying to work to find it.
We're working at it, bud. Guarantee it.
A good run so far for Earnhardt, who started 4th and currently sits in 11th. Lance McGrew, interim crew chief last year, now permanent crew chief for Dale Jr. And it looks as if this pairing and the commonality they have with Mark Martin's team is paying dividends for the 88.
Well, they finished second in the Daytona 500. They were off a little bit last week at Auto Club Speedway. I said all along, these first few races at a lot of different racetracks, that'll be the better measuring stick for how you stack up than the Daytona 500.
Now, since we went to break, the 18 has fallen out of the top 5. Kyle Busch, Jeff Burton up to 4th, Kevin Harvick up into the top 5, and you see the gap continues to shrink between Jimmy Johnson and the leader Jeff Gordon. Here's what Jimmy said after the restart.
You can't slow down the field like that, man. I don't know what the hell I was supposed to do there.
But don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it.
Clearly, I need to vent a little.
You know what? This is not unusual for this 48 group right here. When Jimmy's down, Chad is the cheerleader. When Chad's down, Jimmy's the cheerleader. It seems like one of them's always working to cheer the other one on.
I think he was talking about Scott Speed bringing that field down for the start. Remember, Speed did not pit. Wasn't carrying quite as much speed as some of the other drivers who've led this race.
I think there too, it's just a little bit out of character for Jimmy Johnson to be complaining about anything. Normally he just lets Chad do all the talking and he just does all the work. But notice Jimmy's had a couple of, I won't say negative things to say today, but not a typical Jimmy Johnson day. And that was Rick Hendrick we saw there in the pit. Good to see him back at the track.
But you're right, Darrell. I mean, we got the reports he was complaining about that car the minute the green flag dropped.
The gap has now stabilized at just about 0.6 of a second. Gordon to Johnson, with Matt Kenseth 3 back, Jeff Burton 4.5 back, and Kevin Harvick 6 back. As you see the intervals, and that's a dynamic interval with each driver. You can see were they gaining or losing time to the leader.
I think we've said this about this car, and the thing about it is this car is, maybe you're not great, but you're as good as, you're the best car out there.
Let's have a look at speeds as they cross the line. When this track was reconfigured and the banking increased, business picked up, and so did the speeds here in Las Vegas.
It's like one lap the 48's a little faster, the next lap the 24. They've kind of stabilized right there. But you see Jeff Burton in that 31 car, plus his teammate Kevin Harvick. They're the ones that's in the same miles per hour category as the 24 and the 48 right now.
Mike, before they reconfigured the racetrack, it wasn't a lot of fun. It was flat, and it laid out here in the hot desert sun. It was slick all the time, and it was really hard to race here. But with this new banking and the progressive banking that they put in the track, it's really a lot of fun to not only drive, but to watch.
Jeff Gordon leading his teammate Jimmy Johnson in the Shelby American at Las Vegas. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is presented by new Pennzoil Ultra with hyper-cleansing technology.
Carroll Shelby was a great international road racer. There's the original GT350 behind Carroll, who is still modifying cars for Ford Motor Company and selling them under his name. He's the co-grand marshal for today's race, which bears his name. Here's our Pennzoil Ultra race summary. We're just past halfway, and Jeff Gordon has led most of the race, slowed by 6 caution flags, including a 3-car pileup that involved Jamie McMurray, put pole sitter Kurt Busch 3 laps down, and sent Juan Pablo Montoya to the garage. So Jeff Gordon now leads teammate Jimmy Johnson by that same half a second, with Jeff Burton 4.5 back, and Matt Kenseth not quite 5 seconds back. Krista?
Well, the 17 crew jumped up on the wall. Matt Kenseth thought he had a loose wheel on the right side. They just made a 2-tire change last time. Todd Parrott said it might be the right rear. They were going to come in, and as he went by, he said, I don't know, is it okay? They're still trying to figure out. The crew is still on the wall, helmets on. They are ready to stop if needed.
Well, and we're still a good 15 to 18 laps away from what would be green flag pit stops. I'm sure Todd Parrott really wants to make sure that that would be the problem before he hits pit road.
Here's Kenseth dropping down and coming off the banking and coming in under green early. Krista.
Yeah, this is absolutely what they did not want. One of the leading race cars, they just made a 2-tire stop on the last one in. You see him working on the right side, that potential loose wheel. That's what Matt was afraid of. He thought it was the right front. Todd Parrott saying it was potentially the right rear. They're changing the left side tires as well. Matt Kenseth is down and away.
Kenseth was in 3rd place. He loses a lap on the racetrack to race leader Jeff Gordon.
So what they're going to do is hold their breath here for about 15 laps, hoping it cycles through. But the problem, when all of those guys make their green flag pit stops, we're down to a 1-stop race.
Got a little bit of a battle for the lead here shaping up. 48 car is now caught the 24 of Jeff Gordon. 48 looks like he's a little bit better right now, and he's able to get off the corner a little better than Jeff.
Brian Vickers.
Unless there's somebody in his way.
Yeah, that would be Brian Vickers, who goes a lap down to the leader. Now Johnson scoots past.
See right here that the 48 car is really, really good. I mean, pretty good on the bottom or the top, seems like.
But that 24 is able to keep her wound up there on the high side.
Got good momentum down the back straightaway, but I think the 48's got his number right now.
And Gordon continues to catch lap cars, and that's not helping the situation any.
Brad Keselowski going a lap down to Jeff Gordon, and that will leave us 23 cars on the lead lap.
I've been watching these two guys. They've been running different lines at the different end of the racetrack. Now Gordon goes to the top, Johnson to the bottom of the racetrack, but I think Gordon will keep her wound up on the top side, and as you see there, Gordon comes right back to the front.
Jimmy Johnson has not yet led this race today. We've had only 4 leaders: Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth, Greg Biffle, and Scott Speed.
Two pretty equal race cars right there.
Now just up ahead of the leader are 2 fellows who are just racing their tails off, Allmendinger and Dave Blaney, who led last week in California. Blaney's here to run the whole race today, and they had battled quite a bit side by side. Now that gets resolved in favor of Allmendinger, and the leaders can work their way past.
And you know, Darrell, we talked about this track cooling down. If the 48 car was experiencing a lot of problems earlier, we talked about that at the top of the show. Cooler weather, track cooling down, fixes a lot of handling problems.
Crew chief can't fix it, but Mother Nature can.
Well, the ambient temperature is warmer, but the cloud cover we've had for the last 45 minutes or so has cooled the track.
Well, we talk a lot about that, and just think about it, folks. Walk out to the mailbox someday in your bare feet with the sun shining on the driveway, and then walk out when it's cloudy. Well, that's the way a racetrack affects these race cars.
Next Sunday, same action, even faster on the high banks of Atlanta Motor Speedway. NASCAR on Fox from the sunny south.
Now you see Johnson, now that Gordon has put a little distance on him, now Jimmy in the 48 car, he's moved up to the high side in 3 and 4.
That's what I've been noticing about the 48 car. He kind of can go anywhere he wants to. He's just trying to figure out what line gives him the best overall lap time.
How far to pit stops?
Oh, about 8 to 10 laps.
Well, we'll be back for him then. Jeff Gordon continues to lead in Las Vegas.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by Pennzoil, is sponsored by Toyota. Moving forward. By the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. And by Lipitor.
158 laps in. Sprint brings you an inside look at what's happening now in the Sprint Cup Series. Kevin Harvick would remain your point leader right now by 26 over his teammate Jeff Burton. For more NASCAR stats, in-car audio, and live race radio. Sprint.com/speed.
You know, Mike, as we get close to these green flag pit stops, it was one of the keys that Jeff Hammond had in the pre-race. This will be the first time you're pitting under green. You can't speed on pit road.
Brad Keselowski is in. Scott Speed, who did not stop on the last caution, is in. And when Paulo Montoya, back in the race after crash damage, has also come to pit road. Still waiting on lead lap cars to make their appearance.
I tell you, for a car that started the weekend off in the fence, that 29 car, and started back in what, Larry, 34 spot. He's up here battling right now to get around his teammate, Kevin Harvick. I think it.
Got some takers.
24 is on pit road.
Jeff Gordon is in along with Denny Hamlin and Rudeman. There's David Rudeman's stop for Michael Waltrip Racing. And here comes the man who has led most all the laps today, Steve.
And Mike, Steve Letarte just told Jeff Gordon nice and easy on pit road, and he told the pit crew, let's have a nice conservative green flag stop. Little chassis adjustment for Jeff Gordon. He said his car has gotten tight, Matt Yoakum.
The 9 of Casey Kane, they've just about seen it all today with all the different adjustments they made. Back on lap 125, he finally climbed into the top 10. Air pressure change on this run. Let's look to see if they continue with their chassis adjustments. No wrench in the back window. Meanwhile, the 99 of Carl Edwards already in his box. He said he was way too loose to run the top side. Chassis adjustment on the left side already completed. Krista?
Jimmy Johnson just peeling out from his pit stall. It was a 4-tire change. Remember, they took fuel only back on lap 109. Jimmy just a little bit free.
Greg Biffle's been in. Dale Jr. coming in as Jeff Burton leaves. David Reagan is in as well, and Travis Kvapil.
See Kevin Harvick in the 29 coming to pit road. He stayed out and got his 5 points for leading the lap.
A little bit of a hitch in the 48 or in the 24 pit. The Jackman slip, but I don't think it hurt to stop too bad.
4 tires for Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Sunoco Race Fuel. Mark Martin and Kevin Harvick. Steve.
Kevin Harvick started this race out really loose, Mike, but the car has come around for Harvick. 4 tires, fuel, and an air pressure adjustment. Kevin says the car, not bad right now, not bad. Matt?
His teammate, Steve Clint Boyer, has spent much of the race running in the 11th to 15th position. He says the car just not in the racetrack. He was trying to move up about a lane after spotter Mike Dillon told him that's where the leaders were primarily running. Another track bar adjustment for the 33. Nick?
And they're counting Kyle Busch into his pit stop. Busch, who used to work for a hobby shop that sold little RC racing cars. Having a big day today. He has run in the top 10 virtually all day long. The car is pretty well balanced. It just isn't as fast as Busch would like to have it. Maybe this pit stop will get him the speed he wants.
Jamie McMurray had a pit road penalty, too fast entering, so he has had to make a pass through, and saw a tire get a little bit away from Joey Logano's crew. There you see the pink car, Mike Bliss, back in the race after bringing out the second caution of the day at lap 47. Here's Tony Stewart in front of Steve.
Mike Joy, Tony Stewart says his car is squirrely on the beginning of a run, but then it gets better. Most recently, his car loose on exit, tight in the center, 4 tires, and an air pressure adjustment for Tony Stewart.
Ryan Vickers and Elliott Sadler coming in.
Yeah, Stewart was the last of our really front-running cars to pit, so it has pretty much cycled all the way through now with Jeff Gordon back in the lead.
So Jeff Gordon is back up front where he's been for 143 of the 165 laps today. 102 to go in Las Vegas. 97 laps to go in Las Vegas. Jeff Gordon leading Jimmy Johnson by just 0.4 of a second. Matt Kenseth 6 seconds back. Jeff Burton, Kevin Harvick.
We want to show you something now that's real important when we get into green flag stops. Obviously the pit stop, but how the driver gets on and off pit road. So what we're going to do is show you the total time for the 2 laps, including the green flag pit stop. This is the fastest 5. There you can see Kyle Busch, who's running 6. He had the fastest 2 laps, including the stop. Our leader, Jeff Gordon, was 5th quickest, and Jimmy Johnson 4th quickest. David Ruderman picked up a lot of ground as he's running in the 12th position right now.
So that's the in lap, the time of the stop, and the out lap.
Right, 2 laps total from the start-finish line, including the pit stop. Real important how you get on and off pit road without speeding on green flag stops.
If you listen to a Formula One race, for instance, they always talk about the in and out lap. Your in lap before you pit, and then how good that is, and making up time coming in and getting out.
Well, good indication of both driver and crew effort. Couple of penalty stops. Sam Hornish too fast on pit road, and Max Pappas tire violation by the team making the change. So those are both going to be passed through penalties. Time for our DirecTV head-to-head knockout pit whip. Let's start with Krista.
Well, we knew Jeff Burton would be one to watch. He's a 2-time winner here, but he started 22nd. Didn't take him long to move up. By midway through the race, he was in the top 5. Right now, though, Jeff Burton's race car is about as bad as it's been all day. Really tight. He said he can't turn at all. Matt?
Clint Boyer was second here last year, but it's been a work in progress for this 33 machine. Started outside the top 10, and that's where he runs, trying to join his RCR teammates. His spotter, Mike Dillon, telling him the fast cars are running extremely high in 1 and 2, but near the bottom in 3 and 4. You need to try that. Trying to work that 33 up to the top, but he's still hugging the bottom. Steve?
Matt, Kevin Harvick, a teammate to Jeff Burton and Clint Boyer, started deep in the field, 34th. He got extremely loose early in the race. Now in 3rd place, the adjustments they made went too far. Then it got really tight. They undid the adjustments. They had a great pit stop. Now Kevin Harvick running in the top 5, Dick Berggren.
On lap 109, Greg Biffle had been running in the 4th position, got trapped in the pits, repitted for new left tires, and came out in the 25th position. He has worked his way all the way back to the 9th spot on lap 175. The day is not over for Biffle. We remind you that last year Kyle Busch started dead last in the race after an engine change penalty and won it.
Thanks, folks. Get ready for the DirecTV head-to-head knockout. It's coming. You fill out your bracket, you could win a Mustang. You could win $1 million. For more information, go to directv.com/NASCAR. We're ready to play. You get ready too.
Speaking of playing, that 24 car is not playing today. I don't remember the last time that Jeff Gordon has led 154 laps in a race and had a car as dominant as this. They are putting good cars a lap down. He and Jimmy Johnson, who's not too far behind him, they are really picking them up and putting them down today.
Gordon's pace leaves us with just 15 cars on the lead lap right now, with 90 laps to go in the desert.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by Pennzoil, is sponsored by Verizon Wireless. Big racing fan? Get Verizon Championship Racing for race highlights, behind the scenes, and exclusive interviews right on your VCast phone from the network with the most 3G coverage. Verizon.
84 laps to go. Jeff Gordon still leading Jimmy Johnson now by 1.1 seconds. Kyle Busch has inherited 5th place because Jeff Burton suddenly made a stop on pit road, a place he'd been to just 20 laps before. What's up, Krista?
Well, I had just given the report that he was really tight. All Jeff said, he came on the radio and said, I have an issue, I have an issue, I cannot turn. They don't think it's a loose wheel or anything like that, like the 17 thought they had, but Jeff just said, I have an issue, I can't turn.
So they came to pit road, put tires on it, sent him back out. And now Jeff Burton has fallen off the lead lap, and so too is the 99 of Carl Edwards, getting lapped on the racetrack by Jeff Gordon.
Mike, the last time that Jeff Gordon, I said I couldn't remember when it was. Last time he led 150 or more laps in a race was at Martinsville in 07. Last time he led 150 laps on the super speedway was at Texas back in 07. He finished 4th that day.
Wow.
So this is one of the best performances in quite a while for this 2014.
I just think the track conditions that we have went through and experienced, it's helped a lot of cars, but I think it's hurt some cars, possibly Carl Edwards being one of them.
Let's get an update on Edwards, Matt.
And Mike, Larry Mack was right on it. The Edwards car just loose. The previous run, he said he was just way too loose to run the top. They made several adjustments on the last stop. Hasn't helped. The car is just getting looser and looser.
Now, we've heard there was nothing wrong with the tires that came off of Jeff Burton's car. So just interesting how the track is changing and different cars are reacting to the cloudiness and the cooler weather than where we started the day.
And that is so odd. I mean, no warning at all. He just says, I got an issue. I'm coming to the pits.
And the problem with that
talk about it.
Yeah, the problem with that stop that he made, I mentioned a while ago that everybody now, if we stay green, and we don't think we will, but if we do, everybody's on a one-stop race. Now, a lot like Matt Kenseth, Jeff Burton will have to make an additional stop. Matt Kenseth got it to cycle all the way through, but he still has to make an extra stop.
There are your leaders. Gordon and Johnson now about 0.8 of a second apart. It is 7 seconds back to the 17 of Matt Kenseth, your third place car.
It's about 700 feet up there to Dale Jr. going a lap down right now.
There's a look at Kenseth, who's third.
In fact, Mike, Matt Kenseth, Todd Parrott, they're going to have to make a green flag stop in about 10 to 15 laps from right now.
Fourth is Kevin Harvick, and Harvick is an equal distance back as Kenseth. He's 13 seconds off the lead, but from where he started the day in 34th, this is real progress.
Well, considering he's the points leader, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Now Kyle Busch will be the 5th place car, and he is 17 seconds off the lead. But he has Tony Stewart closing in on him. Stewart is just about 3 seconds behind Kyle. There's Tony.
That's a nice recovery on the 9 car, who's right behind Tony there. I mean, we were almost counting him out. He almost went a lap down, the 9 car did.
So Casey in 7th place, under no pressure from Greg Biffle. But what a rebound Biffle made. Blocked in his pit and restarting 25th. Greg Biffle has fought his way back up to 8th place.
Mike, I mean, when I look at the scoring monitor, we got 13 cars on the lead lap. That's how fast Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson are getting around this racetrack.
Yeah, other than probably Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson, everybody would love to see a caution flag right now.
Mark Martin is the 9th place car. He started 8th. And he's just ahead of Clint Boyer in the 33, who began the day in 13th place and now runs in 10th. Good performance for Joey Logano. Started 6th, and he's on to the top 10 for most of the day, currently 11th.
You know, I love. Rudy Tootie's sitting there in 12th, having a quiet day in the top 12.
You know, just real quick, there's David Rudiman. We're riding with him. Back to Joey Logano. I think the one thing we need to make a note, with the runs he had at Daytona and California, Joey comes in here 9th in the points in that 20 car.
They have really improved their consistency, Larry, plus their performance. Joey has just done a super job.
I love what Kyle Busch told y'all in the pre-race. You dadgum right, we're watching him and listening to him now. He's in front of all of us in the points.
That's right.
And Rudiman right now 8th in the points, the way things stand at the moment. Here's Dale Jr. Currently 13th.
Jr. was just about to go a lap down there to a second ago. What happened anyway? How did he get away from those guys?
Well, let's take a look.
This is over in turn 2.
Side drafting here. He just gets down there and gets a little air off of the back of that 24 car and almost pulled him around.
That lower lane coming out of turn 2 on the bottom is not as smooth as it looks. It's a little humpy bumpy there.
He just got a lot of wheel in it, trying to get the car to stay on the bottom. It sucks you around sometimes.
Live in Vegas, time for an AT&T race break. Jeff Gordon leading Jimmy Johnson, Matt Kenseth coming in for a quick pit stop here.
Yeah, he's out of sequence right now. And Krista, what are they doing?
Yeah, they're going to make a 4-tire change. Matt has been trying to save fuel, but based on the conversations I've heard, I think they're going to be about 14 laps short if it stays green.
Kenseth leading 9 laps in this race, but Jeff Gordon has already clinched the 5 points bonus for most laps led in this race, and it's the most laps he's ever led in a Las Vegas race.
He's just been totally dominant today. I mean, this is great to see him back running this well today, but it's so out of character to see him up there flexing his muscle like he is.
Let's talk about Kyle Busch running in the top 5, trying to make a move, and Joe Gibbs Racing overall, Jeff.
Well, we're seeing here one of his teammates, Joey Logano. He's been better than what he was, but to me, the 18 car, he's been a disappointment. He came from the back a year ago after having to change engines, drove his way all the way to the front, but today he's not been up there like I expect him. But, of course, Hendrick's been really tough all day long, but you see what Gibbs is doing right now.
Yeah, we have 8 leaders, 12 different lead changes, only 6 cautions right behind the 2 Hendrick cars. And by the way, Hendrick has finished 1-2 in Las Vegas 2 different times in 05 and 07. But you see Kevin Harvick in there. And in our pre-race show with Larry Mack asked Jeff Burton about, hey, it's in Vegas. Can you bet on yourself? Is it legal? Burton was up there. He's faded back. But Harvick was one of the guys you and Darrell said, watch him all day. He's been on a roll this year.
Happy Harvick for some reason. I mean, he is back true to form. These guys have made a definite turnaround this year. He is our points leader right now. Again, he started deep in the field, 34th, after having problems early in practice. He's been able to get this car on track. He finds himself in 3rd place. He's still not out of this thing. Last week, he made a late charge on the 48 car. Right now, he's got both these Hendrick cars in his sights.
All right, you see Jimmy Johnson with a move there. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. started 4th, is a lap down, and has not led all day. Chatting with Lance McGrew, his crew chief.
Do what you can.
I've been doing it for 200 laps.
You've only been doing it for 174.
Doing it so much, I can't look at the scoreboard, okay? I'm just telling you. You want me to not tell you?
I want you to just do what you can do.
All right, well, you got to want to hear feedback about the car.
Copy that. Head down. Face forward. Let's go.
Jeff is a guy who operated with drivers as a crew chief. Is that 2 guys? Obviously, they're not happy, but, I mean, they got to get on the same page here.
Earlier today, we listened to Chad Canal settle his driver down. Talking about Jimmy Johnson, get him on focus. He's running 2nd. You're hearing a frustrated Dale Jr. inside that race car. He's got his hands full. We take a look at the 48 car's crew chief as you see Jr. battling the 48 car, trying to stay up there close to that, only being 1 lap down. So if we do have a caution, he can get back on the lead lap. He's not got a bad car, but he's got a race car. He's got his hands full. He's got to stay totally focused. He's letting Lance McGrew know, I don't like this. You got to do something about it.
Meanwhile, Jeff Gordon has dominated throughout the race and maintains his lead. Text your opinion on who you think will win the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award. Points awarded for fastest pit times. Jeff will have his selection. And most importantly, your vote counts. And you can text it to AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. 62 laps to go. It's Gordon and Johnson. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by Pennzoil, is delivered by UPS, the only delivery company trusted trackside by NASCAR.
This race summary brought to you by UPS. After 211 laps, Jeff Gordon, who has led 188 laps, 6 cautions for 25 circuits, just 11 cars left on the lead lap, and green flag pit stops. Here comes Greg Biffle. This summary has been brought to you by UPS, the only delivery company trusted trackside by NASCAR. Dick.
And Biffle continues his march to the front, Mike. He pulled off the racetrack in the 7th position. That from being all the way back in 25th. The car is a little bit tight. He just stalled the engine there, but no harm, no foul, no problem. The pit crew has consistently done a nice job today. Biffle stalled it again. That is going to cost him some time.
And you know, Darrell, what I think a lot of these guys that are running so far back, in fact, we're seeing Jimmy Johnson on the 48 car on pit road. He's trying to pick up some ground, Krista, with fresh tires on that 24.
Jimmy Johnson said his car is good on the exit. He needs work on the entry and the center. You see the adjustment being made. The crew coming around to the left-hand side for a 4-tire change for Johnson.
I can almost guarantee you that 24 car will be here very shortly because his teammate was there, and here he comes.
Casey Kane in the pit lane. Clint Boyer pits out of 9th place. Kane was 8th, and here comes the race leader, Jeff Gordon. Rudiman is in, Earnhardt coming, and Carl Edwards, all making pit stops after 100 consecutive laps of green flag racing. Matt.
And Kane is in. They're going to shuffle the air pressure around the 9. He said he felt like he was losing the nose, but also losing the back of the race car to Steve.
Matt, the 24 car has freed up a lot on exit. He said, I need more rear grip on exit. I can't get on the gas. Steve Letarte said, give me all that gas, boys.
Get it to the white line. There you go. go right there, 4,000.
Brad Keselowski, a penalty on pit road. Black flag out for him as Joey Logano gets serviced. Ryan Newman is in. Mark Martin going out. Kevin Harvick comes in. And Paul Menard. Steve with Harvick.
And Mike, Kevin Harvick likes his race car a lot. So much, in fact, they will make no adjustments to that 29, just 4 tires and fuel. Kevin said he's getting into 1 and 2 great. So just 4 tires and fuel for Kevin Harvick. No adjustments.
That penalty on Keselowski was for the crew coming over the wall too soon. And he'll have to make a pass through. Tony Stewart assumes the lead. He becomes the 8th different leader today. Kyle Busch is in. He's going to come out of 2nd place to make this stop, Dick.
And they waited a long time to bring Kyle Busch in. They are thinking about the end of the race. They wanted to give him as much fuel as they possibly could in the event of a green-white checker, or 2 of those, or 3 of those. This is a very experienced, very skilled pit crew. 4 of the 7 over-the-wall guys have won individual competitions in their jobs.
Stewart the leader. Marcus Ambrose now 2nd.
That's very interesting what Dick just pointed out, because when I look at some of the guys that pitted the earliest in this cycle, Greg Biffle, Jimmy Johnson, Casey Kane, that's kind of banking on this thing going to lap 267 and not 3 attempts at a green-white checkered like the rule is.
Ambrose pits out of 2nd place, and we're told that Kyle Busch was too fast entering. He will have to do a pass-through penalty.
Man, we've had a lot of penalties today. Such a short entry into the pits there, Steve.
And DW, Marcus Ambrose saying that his car has gotten really loose in. He feels like the right rear is not planted well. Said he's stripping right now. 4 tires for Marcus Ambrose.
You know what?
Denny Hamlin moved up to 7th on this pit stop exchange, and he now makes his pit stop.
One thing I've noticed today, a little bit different procedure, I think. They're throwing the black flag on these guys that are getting penalties. Normally they tell them on the radio and they just come on in. Today, the first time by, I noticed the flagman today has got the black flag out. He's used it more than I've seen him use it in a long, long time.
So here is Tony Stewart pitting out of the lead. After leading 6 laps, we continue under green with 49 laps to go. Steve.
And Mike, Tony wanted to stop 2 laps sooner, but he could not get down off turn 4 like he wanted to. Now his car loose getting in and tight through the center. 4 tires for Tony Stewart to stop coming on lap 219.
Darrell, I think I know why they're using the black flag. They also post the number of the car on the flag stand. We have so many cars that's being penalized, they decide to use the black flag too.
I just haven't seen that for a long time. That's usually the last flag they use, not the first one. They've been doing that to everybody gets penalized.
Well, also, Darrell, the way this track's laid out, if the sun is out, it's usually right over turn 1, so drivers might not be able to see that black flag number board quite so easily, or might claim not to see it so easily, so the black flag helps out.
There's the pass-through penalty right there for Kyle Busch in the 18. Doesn't have to stop in your pits, just come down like a drive-through.
We cycle through pit stops, and Jeff Gordon goes back to the lead with 47 laps to go.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by Pennzoil, is sponsored by Nationwide Insurance. Call or visit us online for a quote today. By AT&T, a better 3G experience. And by DirecTV, it'll change your life.
Jeff Gordon, your leader, with 42 laps to go. He is just 4 tenths ahead of Jimmy Johnson. Johnson's been lurking right there most all day. The 3rd place car, Matt Kenseth, will need another stop, and so will the 5th place car, Tony Stewart. Kevin Harvick, we'll double check on some of those strategies, but a lot of drivers have been nabbed for pit road speeding penalties today. Jeff Hammond.
Mike, everybody keeps talking about how do these guys keep getting busted for speeding? Don't they have speedometers in the car? No, they don't. They use a tachometer. This time they've got a new style tachometer. You can see here coming down at 4,500 RPM or 45 miles an hour. You can see it's about 4,900 in 2nd gear. This is showing green. That means you're safe. If you go any further, all of a sudden it goes red. That's what you've got to be looking for. You back it back down and you keep it in the green, you've got no problem with NASCAR. But as soon as it goes red, you're busted. A lot of these guys are missing it that easy. NASCAR gives you 5 miles an hour As a buffer, you go 1/1000th of a second over, you're in trouble.
Thanks, Jeff. Good point. And Kyle Busch apologized to his crew, saying in his rush to get onto pit road, he locked up the brake, didn't scrub off enough speed, and that's why he was too fast entering.
Well, we pointed out earlier, it's a very difficult pit road to get onto. And so when you do get onto it, you have a very short distance to get to pit road speed.
Caution, car in the wall, turn number 2. And there it is. That is Kevin Conway, who brought out the first caution of the day back at lap number 3.
That's a huge break for everybody except Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson, because he was about to put Joey Logano, Mark Martin, Clint Boyer a lap down.
We'd have had about 5 or 6 cars on the lead lap the way it was going.
But if you remember, Mike, FedEx understanding the race, we always have that last caution with about 30 or 40 laps to go, and here we are, 39 laps to go.
David Rudiman will get the free pass. He is the 12th place car and the first car 1 lap down. Remember 2006, Matt Kenseth led 146 laps here. He was passed on the last lap. It was the only lap the winner led all day. And who was lurking to get Kenseth on the final lap? Jimmy Johnson.
Well, here's another one for you. The last time that Jeff Gordon led the most laps in a race, Jimmy Johnson won 3 out of the 4 of those races.
What I do know, everyone should come to pit road, because we're going to get a restart here with between 30 and 35 laps to go. I think everybody will get 4 tires because we don't have that many cars on the lead lap, and pit road will not be very busy the first time. When they open it for the lap down cars, it's going to be very congested.
And 4 tires are so good. I think if you leave with 2 or no tires, that's going to be a very temporary gain.
Well, it is. You know, we don't have that many laps on these tires, but where it'll bite you is later on in this run.
That's temporary insanity right there.
What hotel is that playing at?
Welcome to Hotel Insanity. It's down there in the infield.
I think our crew is staying there.
Pit.
Oh, a little bit of a feint, but never mind. Here come the leaders. Krista.
And the call is for 4 tires for the 48. Jimmy saying his run started off good, got a little bit tight. They're going to raise that bar a round and a half. Chad now said, here we go, boys. Steve?
Well, Krista, we think this is just 2 tires for Jeff Gordon. Slides to a stop just in a nick of time. Little chassis adjustment. And just 2 tires for Jeff Gordon. Matt.
And Casey Kane has started to lose the nose again. They're going to put a piece of tape on the left front, a packer in the right front, and also the planned right side tires only at this juncture for the 9 of Kane.
Tell you another guy, new player, 29 car.
2 tires on Kevin Harvick.
Boy, this is going to get interesting.
I don't like this strategy.
We'll find out how good that 24 car is now.
Tighten your belts this time, Larry.
We're live in Las Vegas. Shelby with the top 4 spots as they cycle through Clint Boyer ahead of Jeff Gordon. If you tuned in a little bit late, Kurt Busch, the hometown boy from Las Vegas, was on the pole, never led a lap. In fact, just 6 laps down currently. But Jeff Gordon, who started on the outside pole and has dominated, leading more than 200 laps in this race, got away in the beginning and got away impressively. Rookie Kevin Conway spinning out, hitting the wall, bringing out a caution earlier in this race. And Mike Bliss, who had Kim Kardashian pushing her fragrance on his car, wrecked it out. No need to keep up with the Kardashians. Earnhardt Ganassi teammates involved in this wreck, and Kurt Busch was caught up in it as well with McMurray and Juan Pablo Montoya. And then moments ago, Casey Kane running 7th. This was a little bit earlier when the caution lights, we had some problems here in Las Vegas. But Kane with a pit road problem, knocking him off the lead lap.
Yeah, he was running 7th at the time, but you clearly saw he ran over his airline, which is a no-no in NASCAR, and he's been penalized for that.
And you can vote for the fastest pit crew. Text your pick to 2258, delivered by AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network, as we take a look at the pit crews at the moment. And the record here in the last 2 times we've had the fewest cars on the lead lap at the end of a race was 10. We'll see if that holds up here. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Well, this time 19 cars took the wave around to get a lap back and chose not to pit. Clint Boyer did not pit. He is our race leader.
And see, under the old rules, until they made the wave around rule, our leader would be starting mid-pack.
He'd be starting 20th.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
You know, with Clint Boyer up there not coming to pit road, I can't help but think back to a year ago. He stayed out, didn't win the race, but finished second, stayed out late in the race.
Jimmy Johnson restarts 4th. He has 4 tires. Tony Stewart restarts 7th. He has 4 fresh tires. Here we go. 34 laps to run.
He is putting the splitter up under the back of that 33 car and giving him a shove, baby. Holding me up.
And he's going to take it to the high side. Almost made it 3 wide. We may have just given Jimmy Johnson the keys to the candy store.
I think we did. He's got 4 feel goods on there, and he's going to town.
Johnson gets a big run off turn number 4 and sets his sight on the man who has led almost this entire race, his teammate Jeff Gordon.
Could be it right here. Got to be careful down underneath your teammate like that. Don't want to suck up into him.
Well, I think Johnson wants to take advantage of those tires early. He don't want to wait to do it as he turns down under him. They're side by side.
He got lead. That car on the outside will pull that one on the inside around every time. Had to get out of the gas.
So Gordon holds the lead. Boyer 3rd, Harvick 4th.
Not surprising. Those 2 tires will be all right for a few laps, but those 4 will prevail eventually.
Let's check with Krista in Johnson's pit.
Well, ironically, Mike, last week, Chad Knaus said the one decision he didn't like that he made was when he made a 2-tire stop midway through the race. Jimmy Johnson wasn't happy with his car early, but he trusts his crew chief. Here's some of the chatter they had just a few laps ago.
You're not going to like this. Tires, bro. Those guys are on 2, man. All those guys are on 2. Either we lapped a lot of cars or a lot of people took 2. Because there wasn't many people on pit road when I came down.
But half the field is a lap down.
Okay, that's just talking.
Yeah, there's 13 cars on the lead lap. Your first one on 4 tires there, brother. This thing has got Jimmy Johnson written all over it.
Well, now with the cars that took the wave around, there are 21 cars on the lead lap, but none seem capable of challenging Gordon and Johnson.
Go get him.
That's his spotter, Earl Marvin, Jimmy Johnson's spotter.
Tell you what, he's got his work cut out for him. That 24 car is still mighty strong.
In the last 79 races, Jeff Gordon has been to victory lane only once. Last April at Texas. And that was another 1.5-mile track, much like this one.
And a place he had never won. As a matter of fact, no one was there. Rick Hendrick wasn't there. His wife wasn't there. I guess they didn't think he could win at that racetrack.
And here we're looking at a battle between teammates, a battle for 3rd place, also a battle between 2 fresh right side tires and no tires. Harvick just drives away from Boyer. Now Boyer's big problem will be that green and black 5 car, Mark Martin. He has 4 fresh tires.
Did you say something about Mark Martin?
I did. He is back in the top 5. They have never quit working on that car since the drop of the green flag.
So the gap stabilizes at its usual 0.4 of a second. First to second, Gordon to Johnson. Toyota's top performers include Joey Logano, who started 6th and is running 7th. Dick?
And Joey Logano is having a big, big day today, Mike. Remember last year he came to this racetrack as an 18-year-old. This is the only race he had run prior to today. Had a minor practice crash, but what a driver he has become in just the years since. He has run in the top 10 all day long. He's had excellent pit stops. He's just done everything right. There's not a mark in the car. Logano having a big day here in Las Vegas.
Yes, yeah, but look in his rearview mirror because Biffle is flying.
Yeah, and Biffle is just trying to get back up there. He's been working his way back up there for quite a while. And here's Mark Martin going around Clint Boyer in the 5 car. And here comes that 17 car.
Yes, and I stand corrected. Mark Martin only changed 2 right side tires, but boys, we got a battle for the lead with 26 laps to go. Johnson is there again.
I think the air pressures in that 48 have kind of come up now. He's going to start making time.
26 laps to go. 2 Hendrick cars out front. Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson.
But think back to last week. Kevin Harvick was able to catch. Who won the race last
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, he was able to catch Jimmy Johnson. My mind went blank.
Same guy he's chasing right now.
Couldn't get around him.
Caught him, couldn't quite deal with him. This has been all Jeff Gordon's day. He's led 210 of 242 laps. We've had 7 cautions, most of them very brief ones. And only one major crash that involved Daytona 500 winner McMurray, pole sitter Kurt Busch, and Wampala Montoya, McMurray's teammate. Otherwise, minor incidents and only 4 cars in the garage. 25 to go as Sprint brings you an inside look at what's happening now inside the Sprint Cup Series.
You know, this just has so much of last week written on it. These two guys fighting, not two different guys, one of the same players, but Gordon is now trying to force Jimmy Johnson, I think, to pass him on the bottom, and I don't know if Jimmy's car is that good or not.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, Jimmy Johnson in that 48, he drove her down into turn 3 that last time. 23 laps to go.
Well, there's no holding back now. We know that.
U.S. Olympic hockey team, silver medalists, but high marks to the U.S. Olympic 4-man bobsled team. They won the gold medal, and it's all due to the efforts of Jeffrey Bodine, a past Daytona 500 winner, who one morning on Daytona's pit road said, I want to go drive that bobsled, and he realized they didn't need better drivers, they needed better sleds. And with Bob Cuneo of Chassis Dynamics, they got them. And the American bobsledders win the gold, and that project now moves down to Concord, North Carolina to Cheech Gardy and Mike McLaughlin to build the future U.S. sleds, as Johnson is trying it, and he can get oh so close, but can't get Jeff Gordon.
That's a couple of good lead sleds right here, baby. These babies are getting it now. Can he pass him? That's the question.
We'll be back to the Shelby American at Las Vegas.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is presented by new Pennzoil Ultra with hyper cleansing technology and sponsored by Subway Restaurants. Now any regular footlong is just $5. Any, so hurry in. And by Sprint, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series.
Jimmy Johnson has tried everything, and this time he got a run off turn number 2, and going into turn 3, Jeff Gordon said no mas, and Johnson has the lead.
The old slide job to perfection.
But Mike, you're right, that all started down in the middle of 1 and 2, completed in the middle of 3 and 4.
Just 16 laps to go. And Johnson tried everything to loosen Jeff Gordon up coming off turn number 4. Finally got the pass made, but is it over?
Good clean racing. I believe now is when the 4 tires will show how much better they are than the 2.
Now Kevin Harvick came in here as the point standing leader in this Pennzoil Ultra car, unveiled Friday night.
Well, I want to tell you something about Harvick. Jeff Gordon better not let his guard down, because Harvick is a little bit quicker than even Jeff Gordon is right now, and he is closing the gap a tad.
Mark Martin has come up for 4th behind Harvick. Matt Kenseth within stalking range there in 5th.
And we need to add, that caution that came up on lap 229 was a huge break for that 17 car, because he was way off sequence. He was going to maybe have to make another pit stop.
And last year's Rookie of the Year, Joey Logano, having a great day in 6th ahead of Tony Stewart. About a second ahead of Smoke sits Logano.
But you know what, with the 48, we're getting the same results with the 48 we got last week, but I've noticed a difference in attitude today on that radio. Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson have had a little bit of exchange of words today that I haven't heard in a long time.
Now here's Clint Boyer, who took the restart in 1st place because he did not pit, and those old tires starting to wear on Boyer, who sits in 8th. He may fall victim to Casey Kane, the 9th place car. There's number 9 in position 9.
I'll tell you something else there that's not helping 2 tires right now. The sun is out pretty bright right now. Not a lot of cloud cover.
Well, we talked about it at the top of the show that we were going to end this thing probably in conditions that we started this race, and that's definitely what's happening.
And Greg Biffle has had a great comeback. Yes, he started 7th, but got blocked in his pit and took a late restart in 25th. He's come back into the top 10, 1 spot ahead of this man, Jeff Burton.
Look where the 29 is, Larry.
Burton making his 550th career Sprint Cup start today in a career at NASCAR's top level that began July of 1993 at Loudon, New Hampshire.
And you have to say that last caution was a big break for him, because remember, he had to make that pit stop on lap 181 for what he thought was a loose wheel. He was off sequence and was going to have to make an extra stop.
Carl Edwards in 12th. He is 10 seconds off the lead, running right where he started the day. And David Rudeman 13th. Started 17th. He's about 13 seconds back, and he's got Marcus Ambrose filling up his rearview mirror. There's the Tasmanian, former champion of Australia's Supercar Series.
This is a great day for this 47 car, because what you have to remember, they had engine problems in both of the first 2 races. He had not even finished a race, and here he's working on at least trying to get a top 15.
Yeah, I think all they needed was not any bad luck. They didn't have to have great luck, just not any bad luck.
And Kyle Busch, who's had an up and down day, he is back in 15th because of having to serve a pit road violation. Drive-through penalty at pit road speed.
Yeah, he finished 14th in the first 2 races. He's working on the trifecta, making it 3 in a row. Not what he wants, though.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. was strong in the first half of this race and took the wave around, so he is also back on the lead lap, running in 16th. Paul Menard in 17th in the 98.
And you know what? This is another solid day for this 98 car, because he's had top 20 finishes in the first 2 races. He's well up in the top 20 in points. By far his best start.
Denny Hamlin had struggled with a car in the mid-20s most of the day. He started 27th. He's worked his way up to 18th. Both of the Newman-Haas cars started the day well, but Ryan Newman has struggled the second half of this race. He's now in 19th.
Yeah, and the biggest problem for Newman, who started in the 3rd spot, Mike, has been on pit road. In fact, early in the day, Tony Gibson basically chastised the pit crew and told them to get into the game. And when a little while ago I asked him how he had gotten a lap down, Gibson simply pointed to pit road.
Thanks, Dick. Martin Truex Jr., new hire at Michael Waltrip Racing this year. He is currently 20th. And the final car on the lead lap is Cato, New York's Regan Smith, running in 21st in the number 78.
And a lot of these are the product of that caution at lap 229. And as you mentioned, Mike, 19 cars took the wave around.
Love that rule. It's a cool deal.
So those are your lead lap cars now with 6 to go. And it is Jimmy Johnson who is pulling away from Jeff Gordon, just a reverse of the scenario that we've seen pretty much all day long.
I just wondered how much at holding back, if he had anything left, and I think Jeff Gordon was probably wondering the same thing. Now we know.
Well, we had a chance to set an all-time NASCAR record today. Have a look at the drivers who have won the most races on 1.5-mile speedways. And either Jeff Gordon or Jimmy Johnson could break that record. In second place, Kevin Harvick has caught Jeff Gordon. And you wonder, where are all the old timers on that list? Well, for the longest time, NASCAR only had 1.5 mile track, Charlotte Motor Speedway. Now there are plenty of them.
Well, with 4 laps to go, Gordon has now lost that second place battle. And you've got to give a tip of the hat to Gil Martin in that 29 car. Hit the wall on Friday with a brand new car, and here they are, just moved into second.
5th place, Joey Logano and Matt Kenseth go at it.
I believe that 29 could actually catch the 48 if he had time. He's a little quicker on the clock right now than the 48 car is, but he's going to run out of laps.
You know, Mike, as I watched that 48 and that 24 battle so hard there for so long, of course, they're teammates. They're both expectant fathers. They're both going for their 5th championship here in 2010. And Jeff Gordon, in an article at the end of last year, said there's no question the success that Jimmy Johnson's having is taking a little bit of a toll on our friendship. And I think we just added to that today.
Matt Kenseth holds off Logano for the moment. Travis Kvapil loses a lap to the leader, Jimmy Johnson, and we'll have 2 to go.
I would be just the opposite. I would be being really good buddies with him right now, trying to find out, what are you doing, man?
Don't forget, though, Jeff Gordon is part owner of this 48, along with Rick Hendrick.
He's the one that told Rick Hendrick, that's the guy you need to get to drive that 48 car. And it's worked out quite well because he's looking for win number 49, white flag.
One more lap. She's over.
Johnson trying to win back-to-back races for the 7th time in his career. Logano back after Kenseth out of turn 2. That one's going to go all the way to the flag. Johnson out of 4. And here he comes.
Very nice job, boys. You get
NASCAR's all-time winner on 1.5 tracks is Jimmy Johnson. The battle back for 5th place.
Ooh, that's hard to call. That's hard to call.
Logano or Kenseth?
I believe Kenseth got it.
I think he got down on the apron and made the shorter route and clipped him.
Absolutely. Guys, great job in the pits. Jimmy, great work out there, buddy. No luck involved in that one, my friend.
The computer showed Kenseth by 19 thousandths of a second over Logano, but they'll use videotape evidence to solve 5th place. Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, and here they come for 5th. That's Tony Stewart behind them.
I thought getting down on an apron would pay off, but it may have.
It may have actually hurt him.
May have hurt him. Yeah, looks like it did.
There it is. That's the difference.
Slightly.
19 thousandths of a second. Kenseth 5th, Logano 6th, Tony Stewart 7th. Boyer, Kane, and Biffle the top 10.
How many races have we run so far this year?
That'd be 3.
And how many has this guy won?
That'd be 2. 7th time in Jimmy Johnson's career. He has won back-to-back. Victory lane after this.
very nice job, boys. You give me a spot next to that girl with the blue feathers on down there.
Way to go, boys! Make it count at the end. Hell yeah! Awesome, awesome stuff, guys. Thank you. Awesome stops. Great adjustment, Chad. Appreciate it, buddy.
Absolutely. Guys, great job in the pits. Jimmy, great work out there, buddy. No luck involved in that one, my friend.
That first voice was Earl Barban, the spotter, from high on the rooftop. And Jimmy does a burnout into the Neon Garage here inside the center of Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So a lot of fans in there can enjoy Victory Lane as we can. Steve Burns is there with the winner.
How about that, Mike Joy? Win number 49, back-to-back wins for Jimmy Johnson. Hits the jackpot here in Las Vegas. And Jimmy, talk about first the duel with Jeff Gordon at the end, the last 25 laps, and what it took to win this race.
Man, that was one heck of a race. All afternoon long, I got to put this belt on. All afternoon long, Jeff and I were racing each other so hard. It's pretty cool to be in Vegas to get this bad boy. But again, Jeff and I were racing so hard there at the end of the day. I wasn't sure if I was going to get away from him once I got by him, and I did, and I was able to get out and away from him, and everything worked well. But great day in the pits, great day on track. We have a lot of store managers here from Lowe's. Big sales conference going on this week, which is going to be a lot of fun. I'll stick around and see them Tuesday. But just so proud of this Lowe's race team and everything we're doing in these Chevys.
All right, congratulations, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Let's go back to Mike Joy.
Thanks, Steve. That's the 5th win here for Hendrick Motorsports. It was a Jeff Gordon day right until the end. Chad Knaus's call. There's Rick Hendrick and Jimmy's wife Shani celebrating with the winner. It was all Jeff Gordon's day until one decision, one late pit stop.
You got to know that Jeff Gordon, the whole time that 48 car was sitting back there lurking in the back, and he was sitting there wondering, is this guy got anything left or not? And am I going to be able to hold him off if he does? But those 4 tires, Larry, I think that was the key.
Yeah, and by no means did we say that the call Steve Letarte made was a bad call. No. With having 15 laps on those tires, the thing that Darrell and I were the most concerned with is the 34 you were going to have to run to the end. Did we not get another caution? That certainly made the difference.
How about Jeff Gordon, though? Leads the most laps, but he's denied at the end. You know, Kevin Harvick gets right up there with him. And Harvick, I mean, you talk about a fellow who is racing and point chasing. Harvick's had a couple of really great races put together here.
Yeah, you just have to be so impressed. Not with just the 48 car, but that Childress group has what a turnaround. And here you got Harv. He's leading the points right now. That's going to be the guy that's going to give Jimmy Johnson a fit as they go down the road to the chase.
And 1 year ago, I think we're all saying, is Joey Logano going to make it in Sprint Cup? And I think he's leading the Joe Gibbs brigade with another solid finish, well up in the points after finishing 5th last week.
Yeah, and that, what's wrong with those Childress cars?
Not anything.
Nothing this year
anymore. We're going to pack our bags and our chips. We're headed for Atlanta. Let's go to Chris and Jeff.
All right, thanks, you guys. It was a fun finish here in Las Vegas from going west toward Atlanta. So even though Jimmy wins it, Kevin Harvick, your points leader, and the Richard Childress Racing cars again finishing all 3 drivers in the top 12.
Yeah, but the guy right there in 3rd, I feel the sorriest for because they had a fantastic race car. They had a game plan.
Now, you didn't agree with the 2 tires.
I don't like questioning a crew chief's decision, but I would have not put 2 tires on that race car. It would have been 4. That's what kept me there all day long. Believe in your crew. Believe in your strategy, Steve Letarte. I think you could have got the victory.
So you handicapped the driver in that sense?
I really felt like he did, yes.
So for Jimmy Johnson, you talk about numbers, the 48, this is 49th career win, but Jeff Gordon led all but 48 laps in this race, and now Jimmy Johnson moves up to 11th all-time on the victory list.
And that's my point. They had a great race car, and he had, I think, his teammate beat to that point.
We mentioned Kevin Harvick, the points leader, finishing 2nd here as Jimmy Johnson and crew celebrate. Let's check in with Matt Yoakum.
What a weekend for Kevin Harvick. A victory lane appearance on Saturday. Almost got there on Sunday, a 1st and 2nd. But was the biggest move for you the call from pit road, no tires in the middle of the race?
Yeah, I just got to thank all these Pennzoil Ultra guys, and Gil made a great call in the middle of the race to get us track position. And once we got track position, our car was really fast, and those guys got away from us a little bit on the restart there. Kind of like they did last week. We just needed a complete run, but all in all, to come from where we started, and I got us behind on Friday, got us back in the field in qualifying, and we're able to rebound from that. Those are things that we couldn't do over the past couple of years. So just proud of all my guys and looking forward to keep going to Atlanta.
A great West Coast swing for Kevin Harvick, 2nd in California, 2nd here in Las Vegas.
Joey Logano, I'm going to read this quote to you. Mark Martin in 2008 said, "I am absolutely 100% positive that you can be one of the greatest drivers that ever raced in NASCAR. 5th last week, 6th this week. You are making progress."
Progress for sure. I'm so pumped up about it to get good 2 top 10 finishes in a row with the Home Depot Toyota. I'm really pumped up about it. Next week's probably going to be a tough one. I'm assuming going into Atlanta, that was one of our tough tracks, but we want to run good there. That's Home Depot's headquarters, all the associates there, so definitely going to try really hard to get another good top 10. And the cool thing is you keep running up front like this and get good top 10s and top 5s, eventually wins are going to come. So I'm pretty pumped up.
Congratulations, you should be.
Well, he had a dominant car. You told your team you were proud of them. Jeff, would 2 tires, 4 tires, would that have made a difference?
Yeah, I think we just thought more guys were going to take 2 tires, and had more guys taking 2 tires, I think we could have got them on 4 tires. We had the car, and that's what makes leading so tough sometimes. It's real tough to make the right decision, and that 48 bunch is so strong. You don't want to give them 4 tires and only be 1 or 2 positions behind you. We fought them off as long as we could, but I'm so proud of this DuPont Pepsi Max team. We were awesome all day. The car was incredible. The pit stops were awesome. And Steve called a great race all day. And I know he's beating himself up over that 2-tire stop. But, a few more guys took 2. And I think we would have been all set.
When you're in Vegas, 24 is always a good bet.
All right, thanks, Jeff Gordon. The most laps ever led in a Las Vegas race by Jeff Gordon, but not good enough because Jimmy Johnson, the car that Jeff Gordon is part owner of with Rick Hendrick, leads 18 laps, and Jimmy and crew celebrating the victory. Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers here in the Hollywood Hotel. And how about Matt Kenseth? Some pit problems a little bit early, hung in there, but finishing in the top 5.
Well, he's won here before. He understands what it takes to do certain things to get to victory lane. But I was very impressed that they made a mistake, got a wheel left loose, had to come to pit road unexpectedly. Things cycled through. They never gave up, and they battled their way back to get a really solid finish out of it. It's good to see him and Todd Parrott getting along this well early in the season.
Yeah, but for Jimmy Johnson, the 2009 Athlete of the Year, first time a NASCAR driver got that award, and he's off to a speedy start in 2010 with his wife and expecting a child. But the decisions made and the feedback communication between he and Chad Knaus, even when rivaling a teammate, once again on target, a 2nd straight win.
Well, you take a look at what Chad Knaus did early early in the race. I mean, Jimmy was getting frustrated because of a restart. What does he do? He comes on the radio, tells him to calm down. Jimmy says, I need to vent. That's what a crew chief is there for. Let him vent to me. Everything comes through me. I'll filter it. I'll either get him jacked up or I'll calm him down, send him on his way, and he wins the race.
And we heard a difference with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Lance McGrew, the communication.
Everybody handles the situation a little different, just like I handle it with you, like I handle it with Walter.
Yeah, that we're both trouble. I know that. But we have more to come from Victory Lane. We're live in Las Vegas. Jimmy the winner. Promotional considerations provided by Jimmy Johnson was the heavy favorite. It's legal to bet here in Vegas, and why not? He's now, including today, won 4 of the last 6 races in Las Vegas. Well, Kurt Busch, one of the hometown guys with brother Kyle, was on the pole but never led. Jeff Gordon, who dominated in this race, took the early lead. We had the only rookie of the race, Jeff, Kevin Conway, spinning out and hitting the wall. And then we also had Mike Bliss with Kim Kardashian, her fragrance advertised on the hood. Out of the wreck, got back a little bit early. And here are a couple of Ganassi teammates.
Yeah, they got together. Jimmy McMurray clearly got into Juan Pablo Montoya, and afterwards he was not one bit happy with his teammate.
Yeah, and Kurt Busch involved in that wreck, and then Casey Can a problem on pit road.
Yeah, he got caught running over the airline, which is totally a no-no in NASCAR.
And here's the move with 16 laps to go. Teammates as Jimmy Johnson gets past.
He worked him over. He worked over Jeff Gordon and finally put the big slide job on him, Chris.
And then held him off. And so Jimmy Johnson now in the last 2 races has made up 30 spots in the points race. But Kevin Harvick, your points leader, and those 2 in the first 3 weeks, even in speed weeks, they got a little thing going as we head to Atlanta.
That's right. He's been first or second as far as the racing is concerned. Kevin Harvick is clearly leading the points right now, followed by his teammate Clint Boyer. But you see Jimmy Johnson making up ground fast. This battle is going to continue all the way into Atlanta.
And so we're 23 away from the chase. Of course, 36 total races when it comes to points.
Yeah, we're already talking about points, but you can't afford not to look at them every now and then, Chris. That's how we make our living.
Don't want to get too far behind, but Jimmy Johnson, a guy's going for a 5th straight Sprint Cup championship. Somebody has to take him and Chad Knaus off the top spot. Tonight on Fox, this is the programming, The Simpsons at 8 Eastern, followed by The Cleveland Show, Family Guy, and American Dad. Next week, we mentioned Atlanta, a place that Jimmy Johnson has had success, but last year, Kurt Busch dominated. In fact, Carl Edwards was leading too and then had some problems, but Kurt Busch maybe a bounce-back race for him.
He needs to turn it around. I'm sure he's kind of looking to Atlanta's maybe for a little redemption to get back to victory lane.
It's been an unusual start here. Other than Jimmy Johnson, that's the constant, Jeff. We've had potholes, some weather issues, caution light malfunctions, but when the smoke clears, it's all about that 48 team and stopping that guy.
And he does it in dramatic fashion. He doesn't make these passes and go to victory lane in the last few laps of the race. It seems like they close fast when it counts the most.
Well, for Jimmy Johnson, he'll head to Atlanta after a victory on this 1.5 mile track. The good news was it was sunny and cool all day in Las Vegas, and we hope you enjoyed all the festivities in and around the racing. A terrific finish in the end for Jimmy. Jeff Gordon will hope to make up for that when he heads to Atlanta. For Jeff Hammond, I'm Chris Myers, our entire crew. Thanks for being a part of NASCAR on Fox. We'll see you next week from Georgia.